Hi, folks. Good evening. Welcome once again to another Twitter Spaces, or I say X Spaces, Money Spaces, whatever you want to call it, with me. My name is Kalu Aja, and we are here every weekend. And of course, we talk money, the economy, personal finance. We also want to make it relatable to your wallet. How does everything we are talking about today align with your wallet? That's what we try to do for the next 3 hours maximum, 1 hour minimum. Today we have a packed house, or should we say packed topic to get through. I'm just going to go through them one by one so we can have lots of time to contribute. As usual, if you want to contribute, just go ahead and request either through DM or just request to speak and I'll plug you on. But I have a long list I would like to just get through really, really quick, right? So first things first, we have the CBN, or should we say the Nigerian National Petroleum Commission announced this week that they had secured what they call a 3 million emergency loan from the Afri-Exim Bank in Cairo. So the long and short of it is this: the fuel price in Nigeria, the local PMS that you pay for in the pumps in Nigeria, the price is based on crude oil. So crude oil makes PMS and we import PMS. So it follows that if crude oil prices go up, which they've done, crude oil is now priced at Brent, priced at 84. WTI is priced at 81. It's gone up. So local PMS, which is imported, also has to go up. Add to that the dollar, we changed naira to dollar, right? That has also gone up. We saw quotes about 900 this week. So when you add that the crude oil price and the dollar have both gone up in relation to the naira, that there of course means that crude oil, should we say the PMS in Nigeria, has also got to go up. But the president announced that there will be no more price increases for local PMS, which means that Nigeria is now subsidizing the cost of local PMS. That's what it means. So how do we subsidize PMS if we're not paying a subsidy? Well, a smart way is to reduce the exchange rate of the naira to the dollar. And how do you do this? Well, the exchange rate right now in Nigeria is willing buy, willing seller, open market, right? So the CBN should normally intervene and buy naira and sell dollars. This would make the naira appreciate. But the CBN doesn't have dollars. We saw their annual report published. They don't have any dollars to spare. So what the CBN is doing right now, or what the NNPC is doing right now, is they've gone to Afri-Exim Bank and says, give us 3 billion naira. This is technically, you can say it's a loan, it's an advance payment, right? So when Nigeria, right, sells its crude oil from whatever period, 3 billion of those sales has already been banked from the Nigerian JP Morgan account. It's going to go to Afri-Exim Bank. So we're going to take 3 billion today, which is going to represent forward sales of crude oil. Where does that dollar go to? The NNPC is going to pay in advance taxes, the dollar taxes, to the Nigerian Federation in advance. So what the government has done is to take their forward FX taxes to plow into the economy, either through the CBN, which is going to be the owner of that dollars, so that this way they reduce, or should we say they meet dollar requests, which is the same thing they're going to do. They're going to buy naira and sell dollars, causing the exchange rate to fall. They haven't done this yet, but of course the speculators have seen that that's what's going to happen and have started to pull back on their purchases. So you can say in a way that it's working already. The question is for how long? Because the only thing that can make the dollar fall and the naira rise is exports. And when we mean export, we mean net export. So you can import, you can export, but the net should be net exports, which means less good abroad, less hospital abroad, more exports, less imports. The net should be net exports. This is the only thing that can keep the naira up. And if we don't do that yet, then what we're doing now is it's going to work till we stop doing it. So how many forward sales can we do? Maybe after this, NNPC, maybe NPA or NCC will also do a forward sales of future revenues. So the question you want to ask yourself is that what happens if we do not get the real prices or the real revenues from the oil sales? Because the oil guys in the Delta are still breaking into pipes. So that's the question for us here. What are we going to do in this short time that we now have bought ourselves? What do we do to make sure that we're able to get those revenues back in? So that's the first one, that the CBN, the NNPC issue, that's out of the way. What about the economic team? The president announced his economic team. We saw, of course, Mr. Wale Edu has now been announced as the coordinating minister of the economy. Good choice, good choice. The market likes him. We know him, we like him. So we think he's going to bring in those market-driven reforms to the economy that we want to see. The only thing I saw that I was a bit of a K-leg was the guy that was in charge of the guy that was in charge of the budget, the Minister of Budget and Planning. I know he's an ex-banker. I know what he studied in school, which is finance and economic related. I know all that. But he spent a lot of time in governance, right? He's been a governor, and he didn't apply all those banking and finance thing in his state when he was the governor, right? So I do hope that he's able to come back away from being on the government side, the spend side, and is now going to look at the economy in terms of looking at us from the growing side. There has to be a real confluence between planning and, of course, the implementation. So that post of budget and planning minister is a very, 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 very key one, right? So that's what we're looking at. That new guy would complement Mr. Wale Edu, and we'll be able to get something done real quick, right? Let's talk about the palliatives. Last week, not this week, the upper week, the government announced a new palliative. Lots of billions are going to go towards, should we say, spending to the states, buses, students, and all that. This week, we saw them release about 150 billion. Sorry, guys. 5 billion. Is it 5 billion to each state to buy rice and to support their palliative efforts? My take on that is that it's good, but it's happening too slow. Too slow. That's number one. Number two, if you give states, I saw a state governor on Twitter saying that he has gotten just, is it 1 billion or 2 billion only? That's what he has gotten out of the announced 4 billion. He has only gotten about 2 billion. That's number one. Number two, he says he wants to go buy rice with the money, which is what they asked him to do. The money is for you to go buy rice. It's a mistake to give states or anybody in Nigeria money to go and buy rice to share out. Not because they'll steal it, but simply because if you take 150 billion and you invest in rice in Nigeria, you're going to move the prices up because you haven't increased output. You are simply increasing demand. Food inflation just came out in Nigeria this week, guys. If you guys are not aware, the inflation came out now at 24.08% in June. So it's still going up. Food inflation is nearly 26%. Why is there inflation in Nigeria? Because food prices are high. Why are food prices high? Because the bandits have taken over the farming. So the local guys cannot go to the farm safely to increase output. So if you release 150 billion and you give it to states to go buy rice, all you are doing is mopping up the available rice with money from the federal government. You would increase the prices and you would increase inflation in Nigeria by doing this. Not because it's a bad idea, but because you are only buying locally. My take, and I repeat it again, right, is to use this money to pay for the lost revenues that will come if you open up the market to importation at a very, very short period of time of food. We don't have enough food to grow in the next 3 to 6 months. We can't grow rice or maize in 3 to 6 months. So allow the imports to come in for this period, tax and duty free, so that you immediately drop prices of food. If you drop food prices, that's a stimulant to everybody in Nigeria. then you lose revenues, which 150 will then cover. Limited period. We don't have enough food, there's no output. The problem is not the cost of the food, it's the problem is the availability of that food. So this 150 billion is just going to go in and boost the price, local prices, which will take guys that would not get that food away even from that marketplace, right? I think we can stop here. CBN Price. Then the last one, guys, let me just touch on this one real quick if I let folks speak. The last one is going to be the CBN Price verification. If you go on my Twitter handle, I'm going to try to retweet it again. I had shared what I had written in 2012, I believe, as regards the CBN Price verification. In summary, what the CBN wants to do is this. If you want to import, they are saying, this is CBN is saying that lots of Nigerians just go abroad. They say they want to import a cell phone. They will put the cell phone at $1,000 when the cell phone is like $100. The idea is that they're using import to take dollars out of Nigeria. So the CBN, to counter this, is saying before you import, we're going to have a verifiable price database. So if you want to import, I use the example of BMW. If you want to import BMW from Atlanta, you have to go to BMW and put the BMW invoice price on the database, right? So you put your database, other folks are going to put the database, CBN price on the database, and CBN then gets what's called a benchmark price for BMW X5 series. That's what they're going to get. So if I then apply that I want to import BMWs, my price that I want to pay to BMW cannot be more than 2.5% of that benchmark price that CBN has collected from various importers of BMW. If your price is more than 2.5%, then CBN will not approve your Form M. So the first question is that if we have an open market with open buyer and willing seller, why do we need to explain to CBN the price we are buying? If I'm getting my dollars from Olumide, what is CBN's problem if I'm paying 1 billion for BMW? Shebi is my dollar. Shebi is Olumide's dollar. He's selling to me, I'm buying from him. That's the first problem. Number two, just think of the bureaucracy of this. I just said BMW. What series? What's engine capacity? What if it has leather seats? What if it has alloy wheels? Who determines all this stuff? Is it the CBN that will be chasing BMW? Okay, you give it to somebody else. What if it's BMW Atlanta? What if it's BMW Russia? It's just bureaucratic. Why are you giving yourselves all this work, CBN? Focus on monetary. Focus on getting the market open. Take away the 42 items away from the market. Open up the I&E market to everyone so that you can then have a real market. The reason why you have a gap between I&E and the BDC or the parallel market is because the parallel market has no limits, but the I&E window has got limits. So the real price is not the I&E window, it's the market without limits. That's why people are going there. As long as you have a market that has a limit, i.e. you can't do 44 items, then no one's going to come there. That's the problem. So if you read the article, it's a bit more detailed. I put it up on Twitter. You will understand what I wrote. This was 2 years ago, mind you, and it's still just bringing it out right now. You can understand really the intricacies of what they want to do, but that's in summary what they would like to do. I don't think it's a good idea. I think it just introduces a lot more issues there. All right, guys, you have all the topics out there. Let's take the call as an open forum. Let's talk and see what's going on. I've got Temi Adis Sadari. I do apologize if I killed the name. Adisoga. Go ahead, so you've got the floor. Your hand is up. Sorry.
Carlo, hi. Thanks.
How you doing?
Carlo, thanks for organizing this. Very good topics to talk about today. I have a question, first of all. When we take the CBN balance sheet as at 2022, right, and we net off the debt to JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs and the forwards, then we say the foreign reserve should go to about $18 billion. The question is it that we don't have that $18 billion anymore, and that we now have to go and borrow to supplement the foreign reserves, right? That I don't understand, right? We still need to understand, I understand that report was in 2022. We still need to understand what is the current, status of the reserves today. Is it like it's now? Is it like it is now completely below? We don't have anything again between December 2022 and now, that we now have to go and borrow, $3 billion, because I understand that about our monthly import is about $2 billion, $2.5 billion. So if we have at least $10 billion, we should be able to do 5 months of import. So I want to understand that. The second thing I'm sort of curious about, so I agree with you on the verification thing. I think the verification thing is terrible. I think it's going to create the same problem we were having with the 41 items. Because then if you don't allow me to import, via the from M, then I have to go go elsewhere to go and sort myself out or something like that. Yeah. So I don't know what they're doing. Like, it's more like, the right thing to do. Let everybody buy on the exchange. If I'm going to import, if everybody's able to buy Forex at the same market, then it doesn't matter how much I want to call my own import. If you call your import $1,000, whereas it's $100, then just pay the import duties, right? So why should that be something they are actually discouraging people to do? Like, it's more like, you know what to do, but you just want to be working hard but hardly working kind of thing. Thanks.
Yeah, great question. Why are we borrowing? Remember that the 20 billion represents also import obligations, right? So if I've imported and my container is on the high sea, is that money that CBN is going to pay for that container? Remember, airlines are flying to Nigeria even as we speak. CBN is going to pay that. It's a CBN that pays the foreigners. You don't pay, even if you give your money to your bank, it's CBN that pays. So that 20 billion could be all bespoken for. We don't know. So really, for the NNPC to go abroad to borrow tells you, you've already answered the question, tells you that 20 billion might not all be available to defend the Naira. We've spent a lot to defend the Naira. Right now, we're borrowing 3 billion in advance. This won't end here. I see any company that's owned by Nigeria or any MBA that can borrow abroad in dollars, expect them to go borrow abroad as well. It's a forward purchase, right, of our revenues. The question is that what happens to that hole we've created in the future? Because the idea is that we want to make revenues today to cover that hole. What if we don't cover that hole? What if we don't secure Niger Delta and we're able to pump out crude oil from Niger Delta? That's what the problem is. So I agree with you. It just shows you that money, the 20 billion we have, might not all be available to pay outstanding invoices. To your second point, you're making the point I'm making. This whole price verification is just looking for a problem that does not exist. Instead of verifying price, allow people to import and pay. If I want to import pure water and I can pay dollars to import pure water, allow me, bill me, allow me. Let me lose money, let me make money. That's my problem. But as long as you say it's a market, open market, willing buyer, willing seller, then let everybody go to that willing buyer, willing seller. What you can do if you want to do anything is to have your own subsidized dollars, which you give to your quote-unquote strategic industries. But allow I and Lumide to trade. What's your business? If I want to buy vibrators to have sex, what's your problem with that? So leave that alone. Go after your strategic industries. Give them subsidized dollars. That's what the central bank should do, not to chase what I am doing with a private importer on a willing buyer, willing seller. I totally agree with you. Lamide, you've got the floor. What's up, Lamide? Hey, Lamide going once. Lamide, go ahead. Lamide is busy. Let's get Edwin. Edwin, how you doing?
Yeah, hello. This is Edwin from Switzerland. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Edwin, I can hear you very well. Go ahead.
Okay. This is my first time, so I hope you can hear me clearly. There's a point I want to make because you tweeted something about the idea that producers of PMS or local refinery they have to buy the oil in dollars. So currently, we are doing some analysis on the idea of bringing modular refinery to Nigeria. And when it comes to, as an entrepreneur, when it comes to manufacturing, production, the key factor is energy. Now, I could remember that in the early 2000, the dominant industry for renewable energy, solar energy, is Germany and some European countries. Now, the Chinese government came into play. The government subsidized the production of solar energy. So what happened in effect is that most of the German companies, they went bankrupt. So the Chinese were able to dominate the whole market even up to today. So as a country, we have to think about our strategical positioning when it comes to industrialization. We have the oil, which means we have cheap energy. So with our cheap energy, regardless of what the currency is doing, what the dollar is talking about, we have our oil.
What do you mean by cheap energy?
Cheap energy in terms of we have gas.
What's the price of the gas and the oil? What's the price of the crude oil? No, I know, but your whole business is the fact that we have cheap energy.
So, yeah, I'm coming to that. Currently, Nigeria is underutilizing our quota from the OPEC. Is that correct?
No, you're going far. No, you're going far. Let's just get you're going far. The price of crude oil today is $80 a barrel. When you say we have cheap oil, are you saying it's cheaper than $80 a barrel?
No. What I'm saying is that we have our natural resources. It's our own natural resources.
I agree.
It's our own energy. We are not paying for it.
I agree. So you are saying this is free?
It's free in that sense because we are not importing it.
How can it be free? Let me ask. I asked a question on Twitter. Let me ask you a question on Twitter. Your great grandfather gives you a plot of land in Ikoyi. You didn't pay for it. You didn't buy it. It's free. Your great grandfather gave you land in Ikoyi. You didn't pay for it. It's completely free. You now want to sell that plot of land. It's $10 million or 10 million naira. Either way, you make 10 million. It's free. Would you sell it for 10 million naira?
Can you allow me to finish? I
want you to answer my question. Will you sell it for 10 million naira?
Maybe you hear where I'm going to. Allow me to finish. What I'm saying is strategical positioning of our country. We have the energy. If we bring in our refinery, for example, in Anambra State tomorrow, we do our production. If we reach agreement with the government that we are able to sell our PMS or our GO to industries for a reduced or call it subsidize some amount of money to industries. Now the industries are producing, and now they have a competitive advantage against China, against some African countries. We can export.
Yes, but the question is, what is the price of this oil you'd want to sell? Give me a number. The dollar today is 80. Is it below 80 you want to sell? It can't be free. This is the question I asked you. I gave you an example of your grandfather.
Let me give you an example. Let's be factual. Assuming that the price of oil today is 80, if the government can be able to sell to local producers at the price of 60.
Which means it's a subsidy, correct?
Yeah, you may use that term, subsidy.
So I agree with you. So again, I'm not disagreeing with you in terms of what you want to do. I completely agree that we can use the crude oil in Nigeria as a strategic kickstarter to say if you do business in Nigeria, we're giving you cheaper energy. You are completely correct. I get that. What I wanted you to admit is to say that oil is not free. That oil is going to be subsidized to be quote unquote free. Because we can sell the oil for 80. So if we don't sell it at 80, there's an opportunity cost that we must agree exists. Then we say move forward and say there's a subsidy. This is what I want you to agree with. I totally agree with your position. Do you agree with my position?
Okay, I agree with you. But what I want to make it clear is that when average Nigerians hear about subsidy, it means that the government is paying the manufacturers or the importers some amounts of dollars to import, to cushion the actual price of the PMS that are being imported. Now, as a local manufacturer, if the government is actually not paying any extra dollars because it's our local product.
No, they don't. They don't have to pay to. They are losing money. Hence, it's a subsidy. They would have gotten the $80 if they sold it. But if they give it away for free, they lose $80 billion.
Yeah, I understand. But okay, before I let you go, because I have another meeting I'm going to. So let's agree that for our strategical positioning, to make the cost of our production, to incite production in Nigeria, because energy is always a problem. So we need to encourage local production of PMS and GO. So if the government can be able to create enough incentive, because I had the the SSA to the president saying that even if we have modular refineries, the price will never go down. This is virtually a turn-off for prospective investors. There's no incentive.
But he's right. He's right. He may be saying it wrongly, but he's right. What he's trying to say is that people are, look at the context of what he's saying. People are saying that if you have refineries in Nigeria, that the price of PMS will go down. That's wrong. You have to say the price of PMS will not go down if you have 10 functional refineries in Nigeria. Why? Because of what we just said now. The crude oil is priced in dollars. You can't say because it's in Nigeria and it is priced, you sell it in Naira, it is then going to be cheaper. No. Refining is less than 50 Naira of the cost of taking crude oil to PMS. Less than 50 Naira. The other costs are the cost of the product itself. So what he was trying to say was answering the question that if we have refineries working today, that will the PMS price go down? It will, but to what amount is the point? Rather, to your point, sir, which I totally agree with, if you say the Nigerian government is going to subsidize the cost of energy by 90% by not paying $1, but by losing the revenue, which means I can bring Alcoa to Nigeria to do aluminium because they will use the power free of charge, but I get my money back by taxing Alcoa, corporate income taxes, VAT, they employ Nigerians. That's the argument we can both agree with. It's not going to be free, and the price won't come down.
Yeah, I understand that, but I think the policymakers, they need to incentivize prospective investors by, I don't know how to put it, but in as much as we prospective investors are not, because the question I was thrown on by one of the investors said, give me a good reason why I'm going to a Nigeria where the inflation is 25%.
I give you five. I can give you five sitting here. Lower cost of labor, lower cost of power. You can build out your own port and FTZ at no cost and take it out. Lower currency prices. English-speaking IT students that can work for you at the lower cost than San Francisco. There are many benefits you can have to invest in Nigeria. Many. Where are the ones not allowing people to come in? By passing policies, you wake up tomorrow, you tax MTN for an infraction that they did, I agree. But you tax them their entire balance sheet. So there are a lot that we can sell from Nigeria to abroad. I think your comments are correct. You are right that as an investor, we must sell something strategic to get investors in. The point I'm just making, just to clarify, people are listening, is that it's not, this oil we have, is you don't sell your grandfather's house because you inherited it for free for 10 million naira when the price is $10 million. Nobody would do it. So why should we do the same thing for dollars, for crude oil? You can't say because it's in Delta State, it's in Naira, therefore we sell the oil in that Delta State. No, it doesn't work that way. But on the point that you are making of the incentives to attract strategic investors, I agree with it, and I'm with you on that, sir.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're very welcome, sir. Let's get Pipe. I know we need Pipe and Slipper. Pipe and Slipper, you got the floor, sir.
Yeah, thank you. My name is actually Bola.
Bola, how you doing? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from the UK. I live in Hertfordshire, in the UK.
What's going on, sir? You are among the diaspora we are blaming for not bringing dollars back to Nigeria. You guys are the ones causing this problem in Nigeria. Right?
That's part of the issue. I think that's part of what we should be talking about. I know people send money virtually every month. Where is this money going to?
It just goes to...
It's not reflecting in the economy, as in terms of FX rate.
I just think that because the demand is much, much more than what you're sending. In the past, right, when I was growing up, only people that use dollars are guys that want to import. There was no need to hold dollar if you held Naira. There was no need. It's only when you're going to America or UK, you get your foreign currency and you go abroad. And at the airport, once you get to the airport, you sell your currency back to the BDC guys because you don't need it in Nigeria. You don't. But now, because of the huge inflation, many Nigerians are buying dollars to hold as currency, as paper. not even dorm account, they just hold it as currency because they are scared that if they hold naira, their money dissipates via inflation. The rate in Nigeria officially is 25% inflation in Nigeria, officially, which means that if you are earning about $1 million at the beginning of the year, right? Just say if you're earning about $1 million, you're going to earn about 810,000. That's what it means. Your salary will just go down by 810. You need about 122,000. You need about 12 million per year instead of 10 million if you are earning that. So people are holding dollars not to spend, but just to protect themselves. That's what's going on now.
Yeah, correct. I actually tweeted about it. If you check my timeline, I tweeted about the fact that what is the government doing to encourage people not to hold our currency? That should be the main policy objective of the government, to ensure that.
Well, that's a tough call. You know, Nigerians are rational. Investors are rational. Why should I hold a currency that is going to fall in price? I mean, if I hold naira, again, look what I'm telling you. If you hold naira in your pocket, you've already lost 24% without doing anything. Just the fact that you're holding naira in your pocket. But if you know, so it's difficult to tell people that, listen, hold naira if the price is going to fall. It's easier for me to simply buy dollars and hold, then convert it back to naira, which is not, I'm not saying you should do that, but I'm saying people are figuring out that this is the way to survive in Nigeria. And that's why you see, so that's why when they say speculators are the ones causing naira to go up, they miss the point. The currency market and capitalism are built on speculation. Speculation is how the market operates. If I go to buy rice today, and the woman tells me, Oga, rice go cost next week, they say they want close border, what will I do? I'll buy more rice. Because rice is going to be scarce next week, so I buy more rice today. Why don't we call that speculation? Or if I know that I'm selling my tire, and the largest importer of tire is going to bring tire to the market, what will I do? I'll sell my tire today. Why don't they call that speculation? Why is it only speculation when it comes to dollar? So yeah, but are you guys, I mean, talk to your friends. I'm not asking to just send money home, but
no, actually, what you're saying is completely right. And sometimes when I read your tweet, I just like, okay, I want to counter it based on emotion. I was just like, what this guy is saying is true. Because as far back as 2011, I was in Nigeria. I was working in Nigeria in 2011, and I was telling my colleague when I was planning to relocate that guy. I don't know. I was just because my background is in economics, and I was just like, the way things are going with the rate of inflation, I don't know what business you'll be doing that you'll be able to make a margin that would counter
that would be 24%. Yeah. Because it's I'm just like going to be class. It's a disincentive to invest because there is no formalized, securitized investment in Nigeria today that beats inflation. Stocks, bonds, property, yes, I'm saying it again, property, commodities.
No, because property, okay, like someone that bought property of, say, the person, I think I saw that tweet. It sent money to Nigeria, I think $100,000, change it to naira, and then, the people actually appreciated, but the difference as of dollar today, it's already making a loss.
But let's remember that. Let's remember, sir.
They're not going to be thinking in terms of local, like, oh, okay, my property, I bought it at 70. No, how much was dollar at that time? I bought it at say 60 million naira, and today it's 80 million naira. But when you think about it, okay, when I convert it to dollar, you cannot buy the dollar that I changed to naira to buy this property.
Yeah, but this way. The mistake is that you are comparing value with return. The value goes up, I get it, but the return does not go up. So the property value goes up, but the rent does not beat inflation. That's what I'm making. So bonds, dividends, real estate, commodities, there is no investment securitized in Nigeria today that beats inflation. The only thing that beats inflation today in Nigeria is holding the US dollar, which is why many people are holding it. So the way you stop people from holding US dollar is to give the naira stability. It doesn't have to be cheap or expensive, but if it's a bit stable, people can plan around that. And how do you make stability? By increasing the inflow. How do you increase the inflow? By exporting. So it's all back to net export. Nothing wrong with imports, but net export. Thanks, man. You've been a great community.
No, sorry. Before you go, please, if you can just allow me to ask one more question. In the short term, you cannot increase your export. What do?
You can increase exports in the short term. It's a type of export. You can try to, to retweet what you call as an export. Give you a good example. Burna Boy is closing down UK. Stadiums are selling about £100 million a stadium. Is that exports? It is. Same with the IT guys. IT folks are doing a lot of gigs from Nigeria, selling sports abroad. Is that exports? It is. But you need to have an FIRS that can be innovative, that can go and say, how can we partner with Burna, with the IT folks in Nigeria to then allow them to make more revenues and then tax them? I gave an example before. Go to Burna Boy and go to all these guys and tell them, if you inflow your money to Nigeria, your dollars to Nigeria, we will give you at no taxes. Bring it into Nigeria at zero taxes. They can bring it in here from wherever it is.
Now, this ties into the question I asked the first time. What are the policy objectives that can make people not to hold dollar? Which is what I was trying to say. When Burna Boy brings his money back to Nigeria and he puts it in Standard Chartered Bank or GT Bank, say $100,000, and he goes back there tomorrow, maybe next week, to collect the money back, would the bank be saying that your money is so amount in naira and they were going to give you in naira, we don't have dollar at the moment?
I don't think so. I think it's if you put money in the bank, you get the money back in the bank. Again, let's summarize and close, right? The issue is this.
I think that's what's actually happening. That's why people are not putting money in the bank, or people are just. There's so many unbanked dollar right now.
Okay, just to be clear, just let me give you certainty. If you take your money to Nigerian bank today, you can get naira or dollar, no issue. The only problem is that people put money in a bank, dollars in a bank, because they want to use it to import. And Nigeria says you can't import 44 items, fear the CBN window. So why would I take my money to the bank when I can't tell the bank to open up a Form M for me to import? That's what's going on. So folks prefer to go to WhatsApp groups or to P2P because they can keep their money there, exchange it, and do an import. If you take away the 44 items out of the CBN restrictions, then more importers will come to Nigerian banks and put dollars in Nigerian banks because they know they can use those dollars to import as they wish. There's no, there's no hold on their dollars to import. That's what's going on. I gotta let you go, man. Right?
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, super. Let's get Deji Polly. Deji Polly, you've got the floor, bro. Thanks for waiting on.
Yeah, I've just got a question, Carlo.
Yeah, Deji, where are you calling from? First of all, where are you calling from?
I'm in Lagos, Nigeria.
All right, Deji, go for it.
Yeah. What will be the impact if we ban BDCs? Where there's a single point of FX exchange, just the banks? Because the BDCs are the real speculators. Do we really need them? Can't we just ban them altogether?
I don't. Honestly, when you say ban, you mean that we don't give them dollars from the CBN, right? Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Yeah,
and then you make it illegal when transacting.
Once you use the word illegal, it's going to fail. All you have to do is to say we're not going to give BDCs dollars. I mean, I traveled. I went to Montreal the other time. I was posting BDCs. BDCs are shops. You go to a shop to buy a souvenir. The guy has a BDC license. It's not how we do it here. All the shops, the grocery shops, the McDonald's, the guys selling Coke, they all have BDC license. When you get there, you want to pay in pounds, they take your pounds from you. You want to pay, they take it from you. They give you the Canadian dollars. It's right there. You can pay in whatever. So those guys are not dealing in the.
I agree. Even overseas, in the airports, in most of the transit airports, Dubai, Montreal, you mentioned. Most of the transit airports, or most of the airport hubs, we all have BDCs. They're essential. Basically, the thing is, the BDCs in Nigeria are taking a piss, and it appears that there is no regulation. So, I mean, just to really put a stop to this craze, isn't it possible for us to just, as some sort of policy drive for the government to just suspend, maybe not ban?
It's even the opposite now. It's even the opposite. They were suspended from getting CBN dollars before. Now they're bringing them back. Which is the bad thing, because I don't see why we should concern ourselves with a private company. Why should a private company get dollars from the Central Bank of Nigeria? Why? If you're a private, let's tell you what I want. If you want BDC license today, they should give it to one MDA to give it out. Go and get your BDC license if you want to, but get your dollars from tourists. If you know Burna Boy, go and market him and collect dollars from him. If you know a footballer, go and market him. But not the Central Bank of Nigeria. Why should Central Bank of Nigeria take oil sales and give to a private company? On what basis now? On what basis? So it's an error, because those guys are all owned by the quote-unquote honorables. And they get that dollar, make a $1 spread, and they are all going to the bank and laughing. If you want a BDC license, go and get it. Then go and market tourists. If you have a friend in P2P, market your P2P friend and say, hey, I have a BDC license, sell dollars to me. Perhaps that would work. But I don't like this idea of everything is government. Why should we give you dollars? For what? Go and do your marketing. Thanks, bro. That was a good conversation there. Ask the press. Hey, are you done? Are you done, Polly? Polly, were you good?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks.
Excellent, man. Have a good one. Take care. Ask the press. You've got the floor, bro. What's happening? Ask the press. Is it ready right now? Let's go to book what's it? Baba Yazu. Is it Baba Yaza? Did I get that name wrong, sir? Sorry about that. Go ahead. Baba is not ready. Let's get Oba. Nexus 7D Lab.
Buba.
Oh, Buba. Sorry about that. Buba, go ahead, sir.
Yeah. Sir, I just want to chip in a little about the free fall of our money, Naira.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, looking how it is flying, to some certain extent, it is downward.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, there are no attempt to salvage the rate at which it's as if the value is no longer there. The economy is facing what we call diminishing returns. And we were now chanting how to access dollars, how to this thing. Now, the government have to come out with a blueprint of how, if the highest demanding denomination is dollar, to liberalize it to some certain extent, we access some other values like yen, ruble, and other denominations. Otherwise, meeting up the demand of our country will never be reached if we rely on dollar.
Yeah, I hear you, bro. Because I hear you, Baba. And just to be clear with you, right? Even if you do yuan, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's the same thing because it's a foreign currency. You can't print yuan. You can't print dollar. You can't print even CFA. So even if we leave the dollar alone and try to use a basket or a different currency, it's the same thing. The problem is that there's too much naira. We printed 23 trillion naira, but the dollar we can't print. So all that dollar is chasing few dollars. That's what's going on. All that naira is chasing a few dollars. So
right.
the way
I strongly disagree with you that we printed enough of naira because we have seen it what have transpired in redesign. So, in fact, we here in the north we take it as politically motivated. It's not to some certain extent you convince me that there are a lot of nairas inside because we see the grassroots. We compare the per capita incomes of the grassroots to some certain extent that there are no nairas circulating to satisfy the citizens. Okay. So if you talk to me that you are telling me now that you have printed a lot of naira, I don't know where you have kept it. Whether it is at what do you call water tanks or whatsoever. Maybe we don't know.
No,
But
I hear you. I hear you. Let me put it this way, right? I hear what you're saying, right? But you see, what I mean, we printed, right? There is the difference between money in circulation, right, and the borrowing that the government did. What we did in the last 8 years, right? The Central Bank of Nigeria allowed the federal government to spend 23 trillion through overdraft. And how do we know it is true? Because the president back then, Buhari, passed a law allowing the Central Bank of Nigeria to convert that borrowing to bonds. So that borrowing has been converted to bonds. So that borrowing was real. Now, that borrowing does not translate to cash. If it was fake, Buhari would not have passed a law to convert that 23 trillion to bonds. We have done that because that money was spent on salaries, on other things, because the government had no money. So you are right to say you are not seeing the cash in your community, but the money has been spent, unfortunately. And all that money, if I'm a foreign investor, I will look at your balance sheet and say, these people are owing $110 billion, which is our total debt now. Our debt is 110. We'll say, can they pay me back? They might not be paid back, so I won't give them money. That's what's happening, sir. So you see that the dollar does not flow to Nigeria because we have a huge borrowing. The investor will say we might not be able to pay back. So the money was printed real.
Our debt ceiling is high. It's high, really.
Mm-hmm.
So what we were saying now is, really, as an ordinary, I'm talking now as my perspective as ordinary layman, not a financial institutions like you and so on. How can you convince me to some certain extent that you have printed a lot of nairas, whereas we have seen what have transpired in the redesign?
I get your question. I get your question. You are asking me that how can I say that we printed 23 trillion when the real cash, we did not see it on the streets? I get your question. It's a fair question. The point I'm making, sir, is this, right? When investors look at Nigeria, what they are going to see is the total debt of Nigeria, 100 billion.
You have taken me to some certain extent very high. Don't convince me to that level, because any investor will invest in Nigeria. Forget there is no how you convince me now that somebody who have dollar can invest in Nigeria.
But
there are some
but they come. Investors are coming to Nigeria. I just read an investor that was mining now for zinc and lithium in Nigeria. There are other guys that are building ports. So investors are coming. Nigeria is the largest economy in Africa. We're one of the largest markets in Africa. So we have a lot of investors that want to invest. What they're looking for are policies to allow them to come and stay here. But we have a lot of people that want to come to Nigeria to invest. A lot.
Are you sure?
Yes, I am sure. I can give you the data, but I don't want to, because you said I should not talk at that level. But there are a lot of investors that want to come. Even if you look at the stock, we have to go.
Transparency is our problem most of the times. But the way and manner we see investors going to, in fact, emergent areas, investors are moving into. We were not included.
Yeah. I get you. And I think what you are saying really is the symptom of Nigeria, that we are talking big grammar, but on the streets, we're not seeing the effects of these, economic policies. You are right. And this is the point where the government has got to come out and make policies so you can see it. Because if you don't see new roads, if you don't see productivity, if you don't see power supply, how do you know that there's investment in Nigeria? So you are right.
My per capita. Don't forget about
your per capita.
Yes. Don't talk of roads and other distance.
Your
These
salary.
that come to the common man.
Good call.
Per capital income, to what extent you have rated me? Is it $0.005
Baba, if you I just read a report now. In 2014, this same Nigeria, 2014, the world was saying that Africa is going to have expansive economic growth because Nigerian middle class was going to spend and lead the growth in Africa. Nigeria, this same Nigeria. In 2014, you know what dollar was in 2014? In 2014, you saw how you could see people who are coming back from abroad to Nigeria to take up jobs in Nigeria. In 2014, how much was a brand new car in 2014? So these are real things that you could hold on to. I'm not being political. I'm saying the policies then, you could see where Nigeria was going to. That our economy was going at 6 to 9% every year, and we took it for granted. Now we're not going at 2%. So I get you. I think you are right. I'm just saying that we have to pass people-friendly policy. If you increase fuel price, there should be a palliative, and you are correct. I'm agreeing with you. I'm just saying I am the economic guy. I am seeing it from the top level. You are the guy on the, you are the guy there. You are saying you are not seeing it, so you can see there's a miscommunication somewhere, and it's something we have to fix, right? All right, sir. I thank you. Where are you calling? Where are you calling from, sir?
From Kaduna.
Kaduna. All right. Hang in there. It's things will get better. Things will get better. Yes, sir. Take care.
No, not in this country.
No, we have to be positive. All right. Let me get Saint Augustine de Porres. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you calling.
Yeah, Carlo, good evening.
How you doing, sir?
We thank God. It's been a while.
Okay. What's happening?
I left Twitter for some time. Yeah, Port Harcourt.
Okay, you're in Port Harcourt. Okay, good.
Yeah. So everything I hear is most of these problems are self-inflicted. Always self-inflicted. Like I tweeted at you earlier today, I said there's no government, as far as I know, that doesn't do some kind of subsidy. The Americans do it, the Chinese did it. Somebody said earlier about how the Chinese supported their renewable energy industry. Why can't we do the same with this oil thing? Yes, you may call it like we're losing value, selling to local production, but there are knock-on positives. Jobs, taxes, SME growth, etc., etc. So government is here to make the lives of people easy. Ajuri was saying that we will not the cheaper oil. What kind of talk is that? Is the government a profit center, for God's sake? The government is not a profit center. The government should be to say, okay, I'm going to let X, Y, Z amount go for local supply, and then I sell the rest outside and make money. That's what governments do. But yeah, it's always one story after another, my brother. I get tired. It's really frustrating.
Yeah,
I think that with what I see in this government and the subsidy, the palliative they are throwing out, I get discouraged because once again, when they do these things, you look at it and you see that they are doing the wrong thing, and you wonder if we're really going to come out from this problem.
I see. Let me say, see, I completely agree with you. Look at the debate I'm having with Nigerians on Twitter. I've asked them the same question 3 times in different ways. When I ask them the question a different way, they answer correctly. Then I ask them the same question, and I say, is this with subsidy and oil? They answer differently. Listen, there is nothing wrong with subsidy. There is nothing wrong with subsidy. There is nothing wrong with subsidizing crude oil. There is nothing wrong with imports. Nigerians have many wrong economic concepts. The point is this. The subsidy that we practiced in the past, where you bring in PMS and you pay the subsidy at the ports, that is wrong. Not because it's a subsidy, but the way we did it. If you want to subsidize locally with local refineries and admit it's a subsidy, then say this is the cost of this subsidy and this is how we are going to pay for it. This is the point I'm making. You can never remove subsidy because crude oil is priced in dollars. As long as you are taking crude oil to make PMS, there's a subsidy. I hear people on Twitter saying it's our subsidy in our land, it's our oil in our land. So therefore, if we take the oil in our land, we're not paying subsidy. Okay, I ask them the same question. If your grandfather gives you a house in Ikoyi for free, you didn't pay for it, and somebody offers to buy that land from you at $10 million, and someone says he wants to buy land from you at 10 million naira, what price will you sell it for? Everybody's answering 10 million. because they understand that even if they did not get that land, if they didn't pay for that house, that the house is worth 10 million. Translate that same question to oil. Because the oil is in Delta State, does not make it free. It is still worth $10, $80 a barrel in Delta. You can't say because we use Naira, we will price that oil in Delta for 8. It doesn't work that way. So what Ajuru was trying to say, he was asked a question about refineries and oil. He was saying refineries will not eliminate the subsidy or reduce the price, and he's correct. Because the price of PMS is the price of crude oil. The cost of refining is about 30 to 50 naira. What's the price of PMS today? It's more than 30 to 50 naira. The reason why you and I did not feel the subsidy in the past, what was the price of crude oil in the past? From 1965 till about 19 when? Oil was no more than $10 a barrel. So when the government subsidized that oil, we didn't feel it because it wasn't more than $10 a barrel. Look, pull up oil chart from 1960 to 1973. Oil was below 5. When did oil get above 10? So we didn't feel it because it was too small to feel. Now it's 80. If it's 80, you can't subsidize something worth $80 a barrel and not show up on your balance sheet.
Let me just ask this question.
Go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No, go ahead. I'm done. Go ahead, sir.
If we had working refineries in all these years, would our things have been different?
Yes, because hopefully we would have maybe taken the monies from save the money from the exports to maybe build infrastructure in Nigeria that even though we are subsidizing, we make enough revenues to pay for it. The US subsidizes petrol for farmers. When I mean diesel for farmers. Yeah. So in the US, they color it. Is it purple? So if you look at the diesel, the police will stop your truck and look at it. They use a special pen. They will shine on your diesel. If it changes that color, they arrest you because you're using subsidized diesel. But the US tax revenues can afford it. The problem is not the subsidy. The problem is that we can't afford it. So we can argue. You can argue from now till next year. Subsidy should remain. Okay, pay for subsidy now. Subsidy payments in Nigeria is more than health and education combined. So are we arguing that we want to pay for cheap fuel at the expense of health and education combined? Is that the argument? Because that's what I'm hearing people say. I'm not against subsidy, but pay for it now. Then you hear stories. You have to pay for the subsidy.
I think what I would like to say is, in terms of solution, in terms of looking for solutions, we are where we are now. We've mismanaged our money, our resources fine. I would have loved to see this government that's in power today. Don't go and build refineries. Create the environment for people to come in and build these things for you. In 6 months to 1 year, refineries can be thrown all over the place. So at least we get local supply. That would help, in my opinion. Because as it is today, the price of crude, give or take, will still rise. Will still rise. And if you don't do nothing about it, it means that the local challenge will still continue.
Listen, I tell you what, look at let me give you a real life. Let me give you a real life example. Let me give you a real life example. Julius Berger is doing billions in Nigeria, business in Nigeria. They take their billions, they are buying, is it cashew nut or something, and they're exporting that cashew nut out of Nigeria. Why? To get Forex. Yeah. To get Forex. Now, if you say that, if you give everybody in Nigeria the license to import refineries, I don't mind if I'm doing business in China, I can take my tomatoes or whatever China wants, I can take my cassava to China and get paid in PMS and bring it back here. So my own internal operations could make that import cheaper for me, cheaper than you that wants to go buy PMS in Rotterdam. So you don't know how I'm going to pay for that diesel. So one point is that is like, why are you giving licenses to import PMS? All you should do is to say, this is the quality. If you want to bring in diesel into the country, this is the quality. Nigeria does not have a license for car importation. You can import any car you want, but the customs will say it must be 10 years old. Do the same thing for diesel. Say it must be whatever, is it M1, whatever name you want to give it. This is the minimum quality standard you should import PMS. If there's competition, the price will fall. That means that Julius Berger could take the naira from Nigeria, right? Export cashew nuts to Germany and exchange that cashew for PMS from Germany. You don't know their own internal pricing. That trade might bring in PMS to Julius Berger at below the current price today. So that the price falls when Julius Berger brings it in. Then tomorrow somebody will say, wait, my sister's husband's wife is from Russia. So I can go to Russia and import PMS cheaper than Julius Berger. That's the competition. Today, Saudi Arabia, that has the largest oil deposits exporter, is importing PMS from Russia. They import the PMS from Russia, they use Russian PMS locally, then they export Saudi crude oil. Why? Because Russian PMS is cheaper than Saudi PMS. This is what you do with competition. Yeah, so the NNPC should not worry itself with license. Why are you giving license to people? If you want to import PMS, import. Sell at whatever price. Allow competition to drive it. This is what I'm getting it wrong in my own view. So you leave all this, you want to track people. You don't have the means. Allow competition to weed out the winners and the losers. This is my take. And then all this argument on Twitter is local oil, is not local oil. You are missing the point. As long as crude oil is $80 a barrel, then you are subsidizing it. In economics, the cost of something is the cost forgone. That's what it is. You can't sell your house your grandfather gave you for free for 10 million naira if somebody is pricing it for $10 million because you didn't pay for it. They'll call you stupid. But that's exactly what you are advocating for crude oil. Because it's no longer your grandfather, it's now Nigeria. Sell it for 10 million naira. Thanks, man. A good conversation, yeah? Have a good one.
Yeah.
Where are you calling from, sir? Where are you calling from? Port Harcourt. Okay, nice one. I've got Dev. Thank you so much, sir. Dev, is it Zoe in Motion? Zoe in Motion. How you doing, sir?
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Hey, hi. What's up, man? How are you calling from? Hey,
just like the last
two Port Harcourt guys. Has the suit gone down or up in Port Harcourt? Do we still have suits in Port Harcourt?
No, it's really gone down.
It's really gone down? Okay.
It's really gone down, yes.
Wow, man. I mean, I'm just sadly, in 10, 15 years, the effect of that suit's going to show up. Sadly. And who are we going to sue? Are we going to sue the governor, the oil company, Tom Polo? Who are we going to sue?
I think when the effect shows up, we may not. Most people would not even remember that it was the suit. Some people wouldn't even remember that it was the suit that cost.
They'll think it's village people.
Okay, I really just have a quick question. Is it a question? Well, there was a speaker that was talking about remittances from diaspora, and you were saying that people in Nigeria actually are holding the dollar, so taking even physical cash dollar and holding it, and so there is little amount of dollar going around for those people who want to import. So I'm asking, if these people who are holding the dollar, if they pivot to USDT, now that's crypto, right? If they pivot to holding USDT, do you think it would help the situation?
No, because they are not holding naira. It's the same thing. If they hold yuan, they're not holding naira. If they hold Deutschmarks, if they hold property, if they hold gold, they're not holding naira. Naira rises when people demand and hold it. So it's a give and take.
Would it make more dollars available to the
No.
people who need it for importing or exporting?
Remember, you're a trader, so your profile. You trade in pairs.
Yeah.
So you quote a pair quote and buying and selling at the same time. What does that mean? That means you must sell something to buy something. So what are you selling? You're selling naira to buy dollars or USDT. So whatever it is, you are selling naira. So once you sell naira, the price goes down. So changing it from USDT to dollar to yuan to gold is immaterial. You are not holding it, thus the price goes down. In Zimbabwe, they have a currency that is backed by gold and have a currency that is not backed by gold. The one backed by gold does very well because when you because nobody's selling gold. You see?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. That's just what I wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Super. You're welcome. I got Adewale, Mr. Adewale David. Go ahead, sir. Mr. Adewale David, I got you on the floor. Please go ahead. I've got Nadum Uso. Oh my God. Nadum Obulo. So sorry, sir. Nadum Obulo. Oh, Adewale is back here. Nadum is next.
Yes.
Adewale, hey, go for it, sir.
I'm calling from Ibadan.
Ibadan, how you doing? Go ahead, sir.
Fine. Please, I hope I'm not drawing you back. I just want to clarify. I want a clarification about the issue of crude oil locally. Let's say people that have modular refineries or people like Dangote. You were insisting that that the crude oil is priced in dollars. And now this business is being done in Nigeria, and the legal tender in Nigeria is Naira. So what law says that I must buy, or the oil companies or NNPC or federal government, whoever is selling the crude oil, must sell to me in dollars? Because I'm in Nigeria, the refinery is in Nigeria. Why can't I buy in dollars? That's one aspect. The second aspect is, if you insist I must buy the crude oil in dollars, we are saying there is much Naira pursuing the dollar. Why can't we make a rule or an exception for refineries operating in Nigeria to buy it in Naira? So that I will have to use my Naira to buy dollar, pay federal government, and then I will refine in Nigeria and start selling Naira. There will be much more pressure again on the dollar. So making the Naira low, pursuing the dollar to be much more. So we are trying to make the Naira stronger. But I think these policies are not consistent.
I hear you.
They are not really helping our economy.
I hear you. And this is a
So
question.
what's your take?
This is a question I get all the time, and Twitter is filled with now that everyone's asking that same question. Look at the reason why. I'm not asking you to pay in dollars. I'm saying whatever price, Naira or dollars you pay in, right? You are still going to pay at the dollar equivalent, which means if you want to pay in Naira, it's going to be $80 times whatever the exchange rate is. If you sell it at below that exchange rate, it's a subsidy. No problem with a subsidy, but it's a subsidy. That's the point I'm making. The question is, your second question say, why not buy it in Naira? It's legal tender. It's the same thing, right? Dangote is going to buy crude oil from Nigeria. People say he's going to pay in Naira or dollar. It's immaterial what he pays in. As long as what you should figure out is the exchange rate he's going to buy that crude oil. If he buys it at 800 to 1, then he's buying $1. It's the same thing. So the point is that the dollar is not enough to go round. If Russia passed a law that says you must buy their gas in rubles, right? They did this because under sanctions, they were losing their rubles was losing value. They want to prop up their rubles, so they say you must pay in rubles. But it's working. Do you know why it's working? Because Russia is not importing as much as Nigeria is importing. Russia is not importing food. Russia is not importing. They're sanctioned. What can they import? But because they manufacture many things locally, they avoid exchanging that rubles to dollars to import again. Look at your breakfast table. Look at the food on your table when you get home today, and count how many things on that breakfast table are locally made. Even if you say the rice on your table is Ofada rice, the machine or the fuel to go to that rice farm, is it locally made?
It's from China.
It's from the school. You pay for school in Naira.
The plate is from China.
The plate is from China. You pay for the food, the school in Naira, but the building was from a loan from China, or the computer was from America, or the whatever. So the problem is that the import side of the equation is more than the export side. If you take away the Dangote fertilizer, that's what's keeping our our current account trade positive. That's the only thing that is making us export more. If you take that away, our non-oil exports are non-existent. So that's the problem, sir. It's not the dollar Naira. It's what price. If you import in Naira, if you say sell the oil in Naira, then what's the point? You turn around and you're going to also use dollars to import. So what have you done? It's the same thing you're doing. that make
Thank
sense,
you
sir?
very much.
All right. Glad to have you with us. Yes, sir. I've got Nedu now.
I appreciate you.
You're welcome, sir. Nadung Obulo, sir. How you doing? Nadung, you've got the floor. Please go ahead, sir. Okay, I've got Mr.
Yeah, okay. Good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone.
How you doing? Where are you calling in from, sir?
Actually speaking from Port Harcourt.
Okay, Port Harcourt.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you hear me, please?
I can hear you.
Okay, I'm speaking from Port Harcourt. This thing is breaking here, so I don't know if I'm clear enough.
Yes, you are. Please go ahead.
Hello?
You're good. Go
Can
ahead.
you hear me?
Yes, I can. Go ahead.
Okay, so if you can hear me, okay. I just want to say that what we've seen in the last 3 months could have been better, because I want to look at the issue of the economic team. It took a long time before this current government could put that together. And we have seen
Let me get Leslie. Leslie, go ahead. You've got the floor, sir. Leslie, wait.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, go. Yeah, Leslie, go
Good
ahead.
evening, everyone.
Yeah, hi.
Yeah, Carl, you're doing a great job. I need to commend you.
Thank you, sir.
All right. I think on the topic, NNPC 3 billion loan was a welcome one. But it's, all of the things I'm seeing here is just like palliative, a short-time solution to the bigger problem. We have a bigger problem, which is as long as we continue to import virtually everything, even to pencil, we would not get out from where we are. The issue of the central bank price verification, I think, is also a good one. But I don't know how long. I doubt how long that will be sustainable. It will work for the interim, but in the long run, the players in the market, because we are still highly dollarized economy, obviously we would have a situation whereby most of all these fine policies will not amount to anything. That it was very shameful to see the palliative that was delivered in Lagos, how people struggled to get something. That was not the best way. That's not the best of what we can do. It's not the best of us. It was an embarrassment for the local state government to have adopted the option of giving such palliative to the public in such clueless manner. That's something that should be done, say 50, 40 years ago, when we were still in a very low state of the mind, and population level is quite low then. But be that as it may, I would always say Nigeria is a work in progress. The central bank is misfiring, right? I think it's been misfired in the past. I am hopeful that with this price verification, and if they try to get the policies from the fiscal side, policies that will be coming out from the federal government, and they try to align the monetary policy to fit in. Otherwise, we will still be having this hyper or runaway inflation level that is unsustainable, making businesses or because a kind of disempowerment or disincentive to business and household. This in itself affects, the economy generally. So, what the $3 billion will do is that it will create a kind of artificial stability in the economy, but it will not be long until the economic team is fully in place and they hit the ground running in terms of picking or plugging from the low-hanging fruit. And I think I will always repeat that the low-hanging fruit we have lies within the agricultural sector. What we are playing here is like the ostrich. I see a situation where for a country like Nigeria developing and having a population growth of about 3.4 or 5% per annum, and you say the government will not be involved in agricultural sector, even though we have private investment in agricultural sector, it's not enough. We are not feeding ourselves. We are not able to feed ourselves. I can tell you for free, over 200 trucks of trailer load of goods are in the Niger border. 40% of those trucks are carrying beans. Right now, the price of beans has gone up in the market. The price of onions have gone up. 60% of the beans Niger Republic and Benin Republic. Now, the Benin side is quite low compared to Niger Republic. And there is an embargo right now. The border has been closed. The effect is getting, kind of multiplying. And that's affecting household, causing disaffection and all of that. Now, government needs to intervene in agricultural sector. I keep saying it that playing the ostrich, say the private sector are here. The government doesn't have any business in business. Yes, that could be in some sector. But the critical sector, that the point where we cannot feed ourselves, it was laudable at the point when the former president, Muhammadu Buhari's administration, when he closed the border and said rice should be produced locally, he invested in the rice sector. Though the Anko program was not a sustainable one because of, it was more of political compensation. But when during the height of the COVID-19, when there was lockdown, we could see the gain. There were borders were closed all around the world, but most of what we consumed then, like consumables in terms of food, some were from Nigeria. Because rice, there was incentive for rice.
Are you saying that you support border closure and that you support CBN price verification and that you what is that what you're saying?
No, I don't support border closure at all. I'm looking at the impact of the border closure on cost of food, like ordinary beans. I wouldn't say beans is ordinary because to some they've not got a plate of beans to eat for the week. So the border closure has shown us that this is just one way. Just imagine if we have an issue now with Benin Republic and we close the border, just as we have closed the Niger border, where we got, 40% of the beans that come to Nigeria come from Niger. I know a lot of people don't know this. Right now, 2 weeks ago, I contacted somebody in Niger, and he said over 250 trucks are on the other side of the border, loaded with goods. Most of these goods are perishable. Now, just a little disruption, it has affected our food supply, supply. Just imagine if it is, orchestrated, and we have some issues with the Republic. The 20% of bean we have will not even come. The onions will not come. A bulb of onions right now has gone to about 100 naira.
Yeah.
That's to show that we're not sustainable. Basic thing, the low hanging fruit that the economic team should be hitting on should be on agriculture. Let's be self-sufficient in terms of food first, before we start thinking of other things we can add value to.
I hear you. Leslie,
Yeah.
So just a second, I hear you, and I completely agree that we have to do the easy ones first before we move to the hard ones. And I agree with you on food, but also for the reason that food is what drives inflation. So if we can get food prices down, inflation falls down. But there's nothing you can do in the next 3 months to get food prices down apart from importation. Nothing.
Yeah,
Nothing.
that's correct. In the interim, I was on a flagship program in a TV station in Abuja sometime last 2 weeks. I said, in the interim, the borders can be open for rice importation to come. In the next 6 months, we then put a measure in place so that, like a kind of backward integration, at the end of the 6 months, the farm produce would have started, would be at the verge of harvesting. But right now, because there is nothing in terms of economic team that have been put in place. Okay, let's say the ministers have been appointed, especially the Minister of Agriculture. So much, we expected. The sector can bail us out in the short time while we work on it, on the long-term possibilities in terms of added values and technology, in construction and production and manufacturing. As long as we're not manufacturing, we have a very volatile currency that will be dependent on exogenous factors. Any little thing in the global market or the global economy, we see the Nigerian currency declining very aggressively. So this is not sustainable for Nigeria to grow at this point.
I think your comments are well taken. I appreciate them, and I think you're spot on many factors there. There has to be a confluence of action. Fiscal, monetary have got to work together. We saw NNPC, CBN, federal government going to take a loan to prop up the naira. Why can't we see CBN, NNPC, Ministry of Finance all work together to get loans to farmers to to grow food in Nigeria. We need to work together more. That's just my take. People are not going to wait anymore. People are hungry. You are sharing 5 bags of rice. Was it 5 trucks of rice as palliative? When I saw that, is it a joke? 5 trucks, and it's equal. So Lagos gets the same as Bielsa. So how will the 5 trucks get to my own village? Or it's only for people that live in cities that will get a palliative. But the fuel price increase is in my village, but palliative is in town. Doesn't make any sense. To me, it feels like you're doing palliatives to take the box. And we've done palliative. Don't come and harass us again. That's not a palliative. That's you're sharing 150 billion to people. That's nothing. We should think more and make these things drill down, I think, a lot better. Thanks, Leslie. Let me get, what's the name? Malam. I've got Malam here with the green frog. Malam, Forlarby. Yeah, go ahead, sir. You got the floor.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Kalu, and thanks for all you do. I just wanted to make a quick comment about the 3 billion loan from by NNPC.
Yep.
From Afrexim.
What's up?
So, a little bit about what I know. Normally, this kind of, because we call this prepayment, a situation where you get money up front for future offtake.
Mm-hmm.
The explanation is not jiving because the last time I checked, Afrexim is a bank. It's not like Shell, Chevron, or sort of that would give you money for future offtake. So that there's a gap there, and I think someone needs to explain that. Is it that there's a third party to this agreement where you've had maybe like a Chevron or any other major offtaker that says, okay, we guarantee this loan, they would give us this crude and we'll give you the money. So that's not clear. And of course, people have rightfully alluded to the fact that this is only a temporary solution. It can only take us so far in terms of addressing the issue. So, and I just also wanted to say that, look, I think we all need to come to a consensus with respect to our local refining. People have said a lot about the fact that it won't make any difference. Okay, we agree. But let us start. We have local refineries. Let's put them to work. Let there be transparency around these things. Forget about you selling dollar, selling that. Let's make them work first. And let's see magic happen. I personally believe that, and this is one of the reasons why I'm a little bit skeptical, though maybe 10% about just throwing everything inside that basket of USD to say, look, this is my perfect hedge against inflation. I'll try to hold USD as much as possible. If by stroke of maybe providence, we're able to get this crude oil theft under control and, get more efficient with our crude oil, sales, and we're able to raise it to, let's even say, 1.8, 1.9, bearing the OPEC, constraint. Hold that on one side, and then we're able to stop importation of refined products. I believe that these two variables should put us in a significantly different position, in which case I think Naira, with reasonable policy from CBN, I think Naira should strengthen, right? Or, what do you think? If these two things happen, don't you think that, speculators that are thinking Naira will continue to behave badly, don't you think they are going to suddenly just record some losses? Imagine you have your dollar at 700 Naira today, and 3, 4, 5 months down the line, we're able to increase our production to, let's say, 1.8, and we're able to, get our refineries to a state where we do not need to foot that huge importation bill again. We'll suddenly be awash with USD, and then we can play wherever we want to play. What do you think? I'm just curious about that. Don't you think that's a significant risk if you are looking to hold USD as your 100% against inflation?
Okay, let me just say this, right? So to your first question, Afrexim Bank, all they are doing, and anyone could have done this, all they are doing is saying, when you sell oil, you're going to pay us back. So they gave us 5 billion in the past to NNPC to invest. Now they're giving us 3 billion to as advance payment. So when we do our normal payment, we'll pay them back. It's just an advance payment on what would have normally sold. That's what all they are doing. Simple transaction. To this point, you've made this comment about oil, crude oil, speculators, and all that. The exchange rate is the report card. The exchange rate is not the exam. When you do the exam, the exchange rate tells you if you've passed or failed, which means how you run your economy shows up on the exchange rate. The exchange rate is how investors signal if you have a good economy or not a bad economy. It's not the economy. And I explain it to you this way. Why people are holding more dollars? Because they do not have trust in the Nigerian economy. They prefer to hold dollar, lose revenue. Let me make it sound better for you. If I have 1 million naira in the bank, folks are going to the bank, and that 1 million naira is paying me 10% per annum. Folks are going to the bank, withdrawing that 1 million naira from the bank, and using it to buy dollar paper that is paying them 0%. And they are holding that dollar paper in their hand. Because even at 10%, they feel they're not being compensated to invest in a country like Nigeria because of the uncertainty. The way you reverse this is to tell Nigeria that if you invest in Nigeria, i.e. even if you put money in a savings account, your naira will not lose value to the extent it's losing value today. That's what you need to do. So what we are calling speculators are people going to the bank to take away their naira at 10% and to buy dollars. They are not speculators. They are rational actors. Because they leave the dollar, the naira in the bank, it loses value. A speculator is someone that will say, I'm making money in the bank, but I think that something will happen. So I'm not sure, but let me go and do this. Everybody in Nigeria, even your 10-year-old, knows that dollar is going to go up before this NNPC thing. Everybody in Nigeria knew that dollar was going to go up. So you can't be speculating against a known fact. How do we know dollar is going to go up? Because our exports were falling. A few weeks ago on Twitter, you posted a link where NNPC had lost how many trillion in this year. We watch on TV where the Air Force is bombing oil platforms, illegally taking crude from Nigeria. Those platforms are the dollars that would have come to Nigeria to keep your currency strong. So if you fight speculators 100% and you win, but you don't export crude oil, the naira is not going to go up. We're looking for an enemy to call bad so that we can ignore the incompetence on our side. That's all we're doing. You have to fix the problem. And the problem is that the Nigerian economy is not generating enough export to sustain the value naira. 3 billion will soon finish. Then what? We'll go to Nigeria Railway Corporation to borrow, or we'll go to NCC to borrow. Is that what we're going to keep on doing? Remember, we'll have to pay this money back. It's not a loan per se, it's an advance. So, this speculator talk is someone looking for an excuse. If you feel you want the currency to be strong, then sell dollars. If you don't have dollars, go and earn it. You can't borrow it. You have to go earn it. That's how I answer that question, Malam. People are not being It's not speculation to hold dollar. It's actually good investment advice, and that's the problem. Does that answer your question? All right, so let's get.
Yeah. I think you've done justice. Though I'm still, I still think that risk is there. That naira somehow would come back stronger. I think it's seriously
I say it
now.
all the time. If you want to know if the economy is doing well, watch if Emirates comes back. If Emirates comes back, you know that the foreign exchange policies are working. Emirates left because there was no dollar. If they don't come back, all this thing they're doing is just film trick. If Emirates comes back, that tells you that they believe that they can get their foreign currency when they are back. Without them coming back, we are wasting time. Sad to say, I'm just telling you how you want to know, right? All right, I've got Nedu. Nedu, I've added you 3 times. I'm not sure. I think you are cut off real quick. Nedu, real quick, go ahead. Nedu. Nadum also Obulo. Going once, going twice. All right, Ote Amuta. You got the floor, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. Good evening.
How you doing, sir?
Carlo. I'm very well, and thank you for anchoring this space. Yeah. So my thought on this loan by NNPC is that they are shifting focus on the hanging fruit, I would say. In recent times, we've heard so much about the crude oil that has been stolen and the level of low production at the moment. So if only the government just addresses that, in fact, in the past 2 months of coming into this government, it would have raised our forex just immediately, even without considering loan. So now the interest they will pay on this loan, it's another burden on our forex demand the coming days. So I felt that should have been their first target. But again, let's assume they have this now. As the other speakers have said, it's just a short-term thing, and many other activities need to be on the front burner for us to actually strengthen our naira. One of the points that come to mind is the refinery. If anything the government can do to ensure Dangote refinery starts working, I think it's really going to help us, not in the short term, but in the long run. And my reason for saying that is once our refineries are working, yes, the refineries will supply our local petrol demand and maybe diesel, kerosene, but there are many other byproducts from crude oil. And those byproducts, currently, many Nigerian companies import them. The plastic, and many others, polyethylene, all sorts, they import them and they depend on this same dollar to import them. So our refineries just simply meeting the local petrol demand would immediately reduce our demand for dollars. Even if crude oil is being sold at international rate in dollars, the fact that those byproducts, which we normally don't account for in discussion around refineries, those byproducts, which of course have more value than just the crude oil itself, or even than just the petrol and the diesel itself, those ones now, for the demand for forex in those cases would drop. Again, some byproducts are even exported. So immediately the refineries start to work and they start to sell. And then off-takers begin to take those byproducts. Even without much intervention, I believe our naira should begin to increase in value. One other point is for the Nigerian refineries, Port Harcourt, Warri, Kaduna, if you ask me as a person, I don't see this government, or even I doubt any government will be able to bring it on stream. What my take on it is the government should sell it at the rate it will cost to pay off the NNPC staffs that are currently in the refinery. In other words, sell it as a scrap. Any value you get from it should be able to pay off the staff, and whoever takes it, whether he wants to sell the parts as a scrap or whether he wants to just improve on certain units that will make it productive, then that's what we should look at, because it's just going to be a drain on our economy for the government to still spend money on the refineries. Apparently, they have quite a lot of land. The land is big, and there are many things that can come up. Modular refineries, even small modular refinery can decide to buy it up and begin to scale up in steps. So that would be my take on this discussion. Thank you for granting me the privilege. Yeah,
I think good point. I like the sale part of the Kaduna refinery. Remember, we sold Kaduna refinery a long time ago. Yaradua sold Kaduna refinery to Dangote and Otedola, and the Nigerian Labour Congress, those guys said no. Now what has happened? They are now going on strike because of the effect of them saying no. That's why I don't like NLC particularly, and I don't like those guys at all. So let's just be clear, right, on the other issues you've asked. Modular refineries, perfect. You have to decentralize this thing, and say oil is available. If you can refine it, use it. I mean, just make it simple to Nigerians. If you want to import, import. If you want to distill, distill. All those boys that are doing legal refineries, give one local government or one community a 10,000 a barrel small model refineries, make them operators so that they have a stake in that land, so they are now more concerned about protecting the pipelines because they are quote unquote owners of that enterprise on that place. But your main point about demand reducing or increasing, there was a tweet I saw, I think I posted it last week. Imports were 8 trillion, and now imports are 20 trillion. This is occurred over 4 years. 20 trillion in imports. Why do Nigerians import? It's not because they like imports, it's because imports are cheaper. Textiles are made in Kaduna. They have lots of textile firms in Kaduna and Lagos. It's cheaper to go to China, buy a brand new dress, put in a bag, pay for ticket, land in Nigeria, clear that cargo, and it's still cheaper. Same with rice. It's cheaper to go to India, get a rice, put in a container, pay CIF, travel here, clear it, and still sell it cheaper. So the problem is not attacking the import. The issue should be to attacking why it is so expensive to manufacture locally in Nigeria. If you are able to locally bring down the cost of manufacturing in Nigeria, then local goods are going to be cheaper. If local goods are cheaper, then why would anybody import? Why would I want to import when I can get the same goods locally in Nigeria at the lower cost? This is the problem. So instead of saying when we export more, we can afford the imports, why don't we simply just say we're going to use that import to then have productivity gains? What's the productivity gain? Power. All companies in Nigeria have a generator. All. So generator is 30% of your output cost. If you take away generators, cost fall by even if it's 20%. It's not maths, it's common sense. As long as we're trying to subsidize all those inputs, local is going to be more expensive than international, and people are going to go for international because it's cheaper. So focus on the cost in Nigeria. It is too high. Power 30%, insecurity, water, taxes. These are all what's making doing business in Nigeria expensive. Reduce that, then you have a shouting chance to compete with import. That's my take, right? All right. Let me get Haruna in. Yeah, thanks, man. Haruna, go ahead, sir. You're welcome. Hey, Haruna, what's happening?
Hello, Carlo. Good evening.
How you doing,
How
sir?
are you doing?
I'm very well.
Thank you. I have 2 submissions to make, but first I want to ask you something.
Go ahead.
You remember during the Abacha era, he made sure that he stabilized FX at a fixed rate up to his demise.
Correct.
Why can't we do it now?
Because oil price was fixed at that time as well. What was oil? Oil was less than, let me get the exact, oil, PTF was done with less than $5 oil. He was lucky. I'm not saying lucky. What Abacha did, Abacha has bad press. The guy was a bad guy, but look at the economy under Abacha. I know if you're going to kill me, but look at the economy under Abacha. Look at inflation. Look at the foreign reserves. Look at what he did even with the ports. I'm just talking to data, and that's what Haruna is trying to hit on. The guy did some things in the economy that you want to ask, why can't we do it today? Maybe it was military guy was able to do it, but the dollar didn't move 1 inch during Abacha because he subsidized it. Haruna's the answer. He could subsidize it because oil prices were very, very low. That's your answer. So go ahead. That's your answer.
Okay. You see, he was able to subsidize, but his subsidy was translated by the creation of PTF. There's no local government in Nigeria that does not feel the impact of Abacha. Even up to now, if you visit local hospitals, you still have bed sheets with bed up to now with PTF logo. The standard was good, and those things were manufactured in our textiles industry within Kaduna. But right now, if you go to Kaduna, there's no textile industry that is producing. Complete Kaduna, United, Arewa, all of them are dead, are moribund. If you go to the structures, they are all scrapped completely.
True.
Period. So now, what is happening now? You see, we are trying to formulate an economic policy. First of all, we have to understand one thing. Our economy is a cash-based economy. It's not a debt-based economy. If you want to go to the market now, if you don't have cash, you can't purchase anything. Nobody will give you any credit for purchase. You have to have your money before you purchase. Now, look at the agricultural sector. Now you are talking about the agricultural sector. How can you bring the price of foodstuffs down? Even when you import to like a stopgap measure, it can never fill in the blank. It can never. We're over 200. You see, statistically, we don't have even the data to correlate our economic indices. All the data has been shown are just speculative data, not realistic data. Because most of our data are only captured within local government and state capitals. You don't go into hinterlands to get this raw data to know what people are feeling. Look at the multidimensional poverty index. Over 103 million. I can bet you we have over 180 million Nigerians living below the poverty index. That for fact I can tell you. But now we are talking of this policy stabilizing dollars, stabilizing this, stabilizing that, because the government is sponsoring speculation. The government is sponsoring all these things are caused by the government. Because we don't have enabling environment, enabling policies to harness our economic reality. We are just borrowing Western economic policies, inducing us into this country without taking into consideration our local economic variables. In as far as we don't take our local economic variables into consideration, there's no way all this Brentwood institution can define our own economic policies for us, and we take it as we've been devaluing. For how long do we keep on devaluing our currency? For how long? For how long will we devalue our currency? Subsidy in agriculture. Why not put subsidy in the finished product of agriculture? Let the farmer fend for his fertilizer, for his whatever he is going to fend. Put the subsidy in the final product of the agriculture. Then government can take it off and sell it at a reduced price for people. Believe you me, maize is going to hit about 70 or 80,000. Now it's going for about 60,000. Why? Because of the cost of no security, no fertilizers are hitting the ceiling over 30,000 naira per month. Cost of pesticides has gone from over 300%. Herbicide has gone over 300%. Cost of fuel, cost of diesel, everything. So how do you correlate these factors to sink it into our economic policy so that the farmer or the citizens can feel the impact of governance? For now, it's zero. It's zero, virtually zero. You import at 900 and something naira per dollar. When you get to custom, they bill you with their custom duty at over 700 naira per dollar. So how will things get cheap? Look at our ports now. Look at how it's getting dry. Generation of revenue is falling every day. So how do we stabilize this thing?
Okay,
it's for us to come back and sit down.
I hear you.
Yeah,
I completely hear you. I don't think anything you said is wrong. I think look at the problem in Nigeria. Nigeria was formed in 1960. From 1960 to about say 1975 or even to the 1980s, Nigeria was quote unquote lucky in that we had this thing called oil, and we imported everything. And the imports made the economy quote unquote work, and we could afford it. That was not the real economy. Nigerians were not producing anything in those days. In those days, when you had a company, the company would bring it in and assemble for Nigeria and give to the Nigerian market. So we assumed, when we say Nigerians say the good old days, they'll say geisha was 5 kobo. Schools were being fed for 1 kobo. All those things we talk about, you see car was sold for 500 naira. All those things were imported. We didn't have an industry in this country. It was up until we had the oil crash. After the oil crash in the oil embargo, we even made 3 times the money. We had our president say Nigeria's problem is not money, but how to spend it. Actual quote. And we did a lot of spending. We built the 10-lane expressways in Lagos. We built NITEL. We built NNPC. We did some building, but we wasted the money. Reality has come. The reality started from 1980 when oil price crashed from that $30, $14 a barrel back to below 20, and suddenly Nigeria realized that we could not longer import, we couldn't afford import. Hence, we have to go back to this Bretton Woods folks and ask for help. The issue is not the Bretton Woods. The issue is that Nigeria refused to change our behavior even when we saw that we had no revenues. We wanted to maintain the same expenditure and lifestyle. And that's what Buhari administration did in 8 years. When Buhari came in 2015, the oil price crashed. What he should have done was to have said we can no longer afford subsidy or this or that because our oil price has gone to 40. Instead, he borrowed to maintain the same subsidy. The same Buhari of PTF now borrowed to maintain the same subsidy. And you can see that for 8 years, he borrowed a combined figure of in excess of 20 trillion, more than the foreign reserves of the country. Why I'm saying this is this. When you look at your first question you asked of was PTF. I put the chart up on Twitter. If you go to Twitter, you see it now. From 1960 to 1974, crude oil did not sell for more than $3 a barrel. That's 1, 2, 3. 1960 to 1973, crude oil did not sell for more than 1, 2, 3 barrels. And Nigeria was growing at the fastest rate in the entire world during this period. Once crude oil came and started to, all this oil boom we hear of, Nigeria oil boom, crude oil did not sell for more than $40. It's to that same $40 Nigeria built Festac, built Lagos, built Abuja, built all the roads, built all the railways with less than $40 a barrel. 40. Since then, we've just been a nation of waste. If you waste your revenues, you have to run to IMF. IMF is not going to call you. You go there yourself. So, Hannah, your answer is that it is the folks that run your country that have gone there. We've refused to run the economy like our own private business. We've run the economy to maintain our spending even with borrowed funds. Our problem is the spending, not the revenues. That's what it has shown. We are the problem. The guys running the country. Right now, crude oil is at $80 a barrel. Remember what I said? At $40, we built everything you see today in Nigeria. Now, at $80 a barrel, we are owing $101 billion. So who do you blame? Who would you blame, Haruna? Why don't we have power? 24/7 power we don't have. Siemens we don't have. So
you see, Kalu, you are very right. But you see, that's why I'm talking of our economic policies. Buhari came for 8 years. Now our refineries are down. Why didn't he set up small modular refineries?
Exactly. Why didn't
Spread it all over the country.
Good. Why didn't he? It was cheaper to set up refineries than to import PMS. But why didn't he do it? It's cheaper to build a new port and new railways than to borrow the money and to print the money. We still suffered. So if we are going to still suffer, why didn't he spend the money right? So we can't blame World Bank. World Bank gave us money to do to pay poverty. The 500 million we're using to pay Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs came from World Bank. They gave it to us. But it is us that were giving the money out and blew the money. It is so bad that the current admin rejected the register that was created for 8 years. That tells you volumes. So we have to blame ourselves. Nigeria was set up as a nation with no natural disasters, arable land, educated English-speaking population. We have ports, we have inland waterways, we have everything. Uranium, lithium, and also crude oil. We have everything here. Yet we're importing rice. We're importing rice. Cassava is in my village. We're not making cassava or ethanol. The PMS we are screaming about. How old is Nigeria? We can't add ethanol to the PMS that we import. In America, they add ethanol to their own petrol. We haven't done that here. What big thing has Nigeria done from 1960 till today? We did Festac. Okay, what else? No, what have we improved since 1960? The railway lines we have were built by the British. This same route that the British built in 1960. We haven't built any railway in Nigeria that goes from west to east. From 1960, we are still building the same lines the British built. These power plants we have are built on the same model we got post-independence. If not for Obasanjo, we wouldn't have had 10 power plants. Obasanjo built 10 new power plants. Since then, what have we built since then? So the basic things, the basic Lagos 10-lane expressway, we stopped at Ojota. We stopped there. Till today, Haruna, we haven't completed Lagos to Ibadan express road. This is from 1999. With all the crude oil revenues, we haven't completed Lagos to Ibadan. Do you think China will take 15 years to complete Lagos to Ibadan express road? So I'm just answering that it's not the economic policy, it's the people. It's the people. North Korea is a communist nation. Have you seen their roads in North Korea? Have you seen North Korea? Try to Google North Korea.
I have. I've been there and I saw.
You saw their buildings.
Communists are there.
Good, but they are communist. So, no, I don't know what to say, bro. How is your farm doing?
You see, to be very honest, we have useless set of people in government. Okay, forget the oil sector now. Look at the solid mineral sector. What have we harnessed in our solid mineral sector? Look at the quantum of gold being shipped out of Nigeria illegally. Look at what will have happened if we have shored up our gold reserve within the CBN.
Good.
What will have happened? Look at lithium. Look at a lot of minerals that we have that are money.
Good. Now you are talking, Hannah. Because if we had done that, if we had had a gold refining, we just created a gold refining company 5 or so years ago in Ogun State. Is it on Ogun or is it on? Is it Ogun? Not on Ogun State. The state where the state of Osun, that's where it is. Imagine if we had that 20 years ago. All this banditry you are seeing in the northwest started because they were mining gold. So they were coming and drive people away so they can do mining. That's where this whole thing came from. Then before the foreigners came in to take advantage of the fall in insecurity. A nation cannot defend its own borders. Look at Niger. They shot down the military jet, now a helicopter. Inside this nation. Can you believe it? Inside this nation, we have no-go lands. Inside this very nation. Who will come and do the mining of lithium now? Who will come and do it? Congo. Come on, man. I don't know again, Haruna. Oh, man. Hey, Mr. Vesse, what's happening? Help us out here.
Hey. Good evening, Mr. Carlo. I'm calling from Lagos. Yeah, I mean, I just had a question. Like when I heard you talking about Nigeria's the price of Nigerian crude in the 60s, like juxtaposing it with other epochs up till now. Now, my question is like, I think isn't the Nigerian budget pegged to a particular price for crude? And if it has been, aren't we supposed to have like an excess of crude sales up until now, even with all the non-OPEC quota that we've not been meeting? Because I remember that, for every budget, there's always like a price of crude that is being called, that is being pegged on. And I think for the past 2 to 3 years, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know, we have always sold at more than this price. So where is all the money from the excess price? Like where is it? Like what's happening?
I asked you to come in and help us, but they are coming to add fire to oil to the fire. You see? See, for those that don't know what he's talking about, so every year Nigeria does a budget. And in the past, when we do the budget, we say we're going to sell crude oil, which is the main tax earner for Nigeria, to fund the budget. But it's a wrong way to do it because crude oil are not fixed. The price isn't fixed. So we say we're going to hire people, we hire them, then crude oil price falls and we can't fire them. So we have a bloated bureaucracy. So Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala came when she came as the first term as Minister of Finance, she came in and she set up what's called the benchmark price, which means that if oil is selling for, say, $100 a barrel, we can assume $50 a barrel for the benchmark. This is called sterilization. You sterilize your income flow so that even if it falls, it won't really get to 50. So that we then plan with the 50. So between that 60 to 100, it can fluctuate, but we know we are planning with the 50. So it makes planning easier. The excess that we sell, it goes into an excess account, which is like a savings account. It's not savings, but it's like a savings account. What we have done over the years that we have built up that excess savings account. I think Yar'Adua left billions. Then Goodluck spent a lot of it. It came to about $1 billion or $2 billion when Goodluck left. Currently, that excess crude account is less than 500,000 United States dollars. It's less than 500,000. So we've spent it down to zero, essentially. But we have sold oil, like you said, you are right. We've sold oil in excess of the benchmark price. And following the comments I saw on the president's economic plan, we want to scrap the excess crude and simply just borrow and spend at will without a benchmark to the budget. It goes back to the point I was talking to Haruna about. What we have is a bureaucracy that knows how to spend and not how to invest or do anything. PTF was in what year? PTF was done in the year when did Abacha become president? Say 1990, Abi. That's when PTF was. PTF was done with when oil was less than $30 a barrel. Go to any, like you said, go anywhere. You see PTF road, PTF hospital, PTF this, PTF school with less than $30 a barrel. PTF was Abacha's palliative. That was his palliative, PTF. Today our palliative is 5 trucks of rice. So you do the maths. So somewhere along the line, with a higher crude oil, PTF has gone from palliative has gone from PTF to 5 trucks of rice for citizens to fight over. Abacha built the roads, built the schools, PTF. So it's a sad thing, and I hope the spending is the problem, not the income. The spending. People always argue on Twitter, no, we need to make more revenues. If you make more revenues, the House of Assembly and senators will simply buy Rolls-Royce instead of Toyota. That's all that will change. They will buy Rolls-Royce or Bentley instead of. But now they are managing Toyota Land Cruiser. Please clap for them. They are managing it. They shouldn't be driving Toyota and Land Cruiser. They will now buy the Bentley they're supposed to buy. They will all buy private jets so they can go for constituency projects. All legislators will now buy a private jet, and you see people on Twitter arguing with you that yes, they have to go and inspect that. Those that can't have jets will buy a helicopter to fly to villages to inspect the roads that were built. That's what will happen. Don't say it's impossible. They would buy helicopters for each house member. Then they will buy private jets for each senator. It will happen because the issue in Nigeria is spending, not the revenue. So why am I going to act together? Ikenna, your hand is up. Go ahead, sir. Ikenna going once. Ikenna going once. Let me get.
Yes, Mr. Carlo.
Hey, how you doing, sir? After Ikenna, I'll take case special after Ikenna. Ikenna, go ahead. Your audio is bad, bro. You got to fix that audio.
Okay.
Let me get case special while you fix that audio. Case special. Go ahead, sir. Ikenna, fix that audio.
Yeah, Mr. Carlo, good evening.
How you doing, sir?
Yeah, I'm fine. I just wanted to ask a question. My second question, actually, I think Ewoma almost asked something similar to it, so I think I'm okay with your response to that. But my first question is this. As a layman, just educate me, you understand? Why is it that Nigeria already have a debt of, like you said, I think $110 billion? And why is it that they are still borrowing to us? Why? Why are they still borrowing to us? Why? Because if, as maybe on the street now, you are owing maybe a street seller so and so amount, and you go there to go and buy again, and you've not paid the previous amount, she wouldn't likely give to you. But why is that these banks, they are still borrowing to Nigeria?
That's actually a very, very good question. That's actually a very, very good question. The reason why they are borrowing to you is that they know you can repay. And it's not repaying from oil, it's repaying from taxes. When you borrow money, it's the same as increasing taxes. So governments can get revenues through only one way, taxes. But taxes are difficult to pass because people will tell you we want to pay taxes. So government will borrow. Why do banks borrow government's money? Because the government can go back and tax citizens to pay. So these other guys look at Nigeria's tax revenues or tax receipts compared to our GDP or to our revenues. It's very, very low. Afghanistan collects more revenue by proportion than Nigeria. So there's a lot of space into tax Nigerians, and those taxes are coming. So to answer your question directly, they are borrowing us money because they can tax us. Now you've seen VAT go up, you've seen digital tax come, you're going to see more taxes coming because the revenues from crude oil are falling. That's why they're borrowing us money, to answer your question simply.
Let me just quickly paraphrase my second question.
Mm-hmm.
In the reverse order, we're actually fighting for the naira to appreciate. But in the reverse order, now we have more dollar, a single dollar giving us about 1,000 naira, meaning that we're having more naira to spend. But why is it that this thing actually reflecting in the economy per se?
It is, and it should actually, Nigeria should actually want a weak currency. We have this argument all the time. I tell people that for an exporter, you want a weak currency, not a strong currency. Not too weak to like 1,000. We need a weak currency. When we sell oil, we should get more naira to show. That's what we should look for. What is happening in the economy is that the economy is not productive. That's the main issue. So even if dollar is 1-to-1, there's no power supply. And that's what's dragging their country back. The productivity is not there. When I mean productivity, we are doing more to get less. So imagine if you were a manufacturer of pure water today. What do you need? You need generator. You need borehole. But if I was making pure water in Germany, I already have power. I already have water. All I need to just to buy the sealer. So you see the cost of doing business in Germany is cheaper than doing business in Nigeria. So that's where the big problem is, that the productivity in Nigeria is low. So even if you go to Ghana, Ghana has power. You can set up a company in Ghana and then export the goods to Nigeria. You still make your revenues better than if you are in Nigeria. Sad to say that. And that's a problem. That's a problem. Make sense, sir?
Thank you. I think I'm okay with that. Thank you.
Excellent. So let's get what's that? Ikena, is your audio good now? So we can take you, or should I move on?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Yes, it's good now.
All right. After I've got the farmer boy after you. Yeah. Ikena, go ahead.
Okay. See, I have two questions, right? And I think you said something, but I want you to expatiate on that. So I asked you a question one time. Is it like last 2 months or 3 months about the partial subsidizing of petrol instead of the full mover? You understand? I said, okay, what about removing of the fuel pump prices? It should not be equal in all states, but it should be like based on the consumption. So if the highest state of consumption should buy fuel at a higher price than state who consume little. Like for example, like the Ebonyi state is one of the states that consume the least. Then, but he's still buying fuel at that price that Lagos people are buying it. So what about Lagos state should buy higher than what Ebonyi state and Jigawa people and Ogun people should buy? There should not be equality of prices. And you say something, so I want to expand why it can't work.
No, I think it can work. I'm not against that. Nigeria is actually set up. We have something called the Petroleum Equalization Fund. That's what we have to try to equalize prices. When you pass the regulation, then every location should sell PMS based on their cost of getting the PMS to the pump. So essentially, Ebonyi State should pay less, Lagos should pay less because they have the port right there than Ebonyi. I'm agreeing with you. I don't think I'm against that.
Okay. So another question is about this palliative. I think whenever the government says they have a palliative that is targeted at the poorest of the poor, it always turns out to be scam or it's some kind of. So I think this palliative, it's not what we should be having right now. It's not the talk we should be having. It's talk about the increment of minimum wage, providing food security, so food will be accessible and affordable, and also refinery and all that things that will make the food inflation rate come down. You understand? So it will not, for example, now if someone is earning like a monthly 100K now, so the inflation rate will hit like, maybe last month it should be like 120, but now it should be like 140. You see? So now I'm saying those are the measures that the government should tackle, not actually bringing about the palliative. So what do you think about the palliative?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Like, more or less, if you have a palliative that reduces the cost of goods totally, right, then you do not need palliative, Abi. Why, instead of giving people rice in a truck, why not just reduce the cost of rice for everybody in Nigeria so that way you are able to get, should we say, cheaper cost of doing business or cheaper cost of food. This one is a joke. This 150 billion is 150 billion wasted. Because if you are sharing rice like what I saw, people are struggling for rice. That's not a palliative. That's that's something like you see in ancient Egypt. We should have used this money, like I've said, to more or less to reduce the cost of food. Maybe if you do the import, customs loses money. So we should have used this money to more or less pay the duty that would have lost, sort of to compensate customs for the duty that would have lost. That's how we should have done it. That way food gets to everybody, including my village. To just say you want to buy rice and share, you are going to make the cost of food go up because you are taking 150 billion borrowed money to pay for food in an economy that doesn't have enough food. So cost goes up, not down. So it will hurt people rather than helping people. Make sense?
Okay, thank you very much. But let me just add this, just simple, this last one, this final one. So it's about what Mr. Oshewa said some time ago about money restriction, and I think you are against the money restriction, that they should restrict the money circulation. Yes.
I'm not against money restriction. He was saying that to fight inflation, you should increase MPR so that there will be less cash in circulation. I was saying that inflation in Nigeria is not caused by just too much money in circulation. Inflation in Nigeria is caused by food. How do you know? The CPI, the consumer price the consumer price index in Nigeria is 51% food. So when you have high food prices, it bleeds into headline inflation. So even if you restrict the total naira in circulation in Nigeria today, if there is no food, cheap food in Nigeria, the cost of food is going to go up, then inflation will go up. So you have just suffered the SMEs for nothing. Right now, if you the way you fight inflation is to raise interest rates. When you raise interest rates, the idea is you want to kill the economy so that the prices will come down. That's what they're trying. It's like chemotherapy. You kill the economy so that the economy stops asking for cash. But if you do that and you don't increase the output of food, then you don't fight inflation because food is still expensive, but you've raised the interest rate and SMEs can't borrow. So the point I was making is this: you have to target food output. If you get enough food in the economy, the prices of food fall, then headline inflation falls. Then you can talk about doing the other things which are monetary. That's why you see the CBN was trying to do anchor borers with rice. They also saw that it is food that is driving inflation in Nigeria, not just the monetary output, the monetary, should we say, accretion of capital. That's what is the food that is driving the inflation price. Does that make sense? All right, super. Nice one. Let's get David. David, you got the floor, sir. David Esomo 60. Thanks again. I appreciate your questions. David, you got the floor, sir.
Hello.
Yeah, David, where are you calling from?
Okay, I'm calling from Kano.
Kano. Okay, nice. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, so I have actually been following for a very long time now. Listening to everything that you have been saying, and I really want to appreciate. Although many of us might not understand the importance of what you're saying, you are bringing back our consciousness. So I just want to contribute to something related to this rice industry and some other industry. When I heard about this 3 billion naira that was borrowed, I was saying that instead of sharing this 3 billion naira, instead of even giving this palliative and the rest, why not invest this thing into agriculture? Nigerians are suffering, Nigerians are hungry. And I have been working closely with the
these rice manufacturers. And for more than 4 months now, within 4 months now, they have been struggling to operate. You see a very big rice mill and they don't have raw material to operate. Why not just carry all this money instead of saying that you are giving palliative? Why not carry this money, give it to the farmers? There is no party for this.
Which farmers now? Where are the farmers? The farmers are in Niger, Abi, Kebbi.
Sorry.
The farmers are in Niger State, Kebbi State, where they have bandits.
The farmers are everywhere.
Yeah, but where do you make rice?
Niger.
Yeah, but
can you hear me, sir?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. Niger is actually the major place that they are farming rice, but every part of Nigeria you can farm rice. They farm rice in other parts of even in this Kano, they farm rice everywhere. They farm rice in the east. They farm rice in the west.
Okay, but the point I'm making is that the point I'm making is this, right? Because the insecurity is high in the middle belt, all the way from Benue, Plateau, Niger, we have insecurity across. It has reduced the output of the farming. So if you give let's say there's peace in the farm, let's say there's peace, how long to grow rice? How long does it take to grow rice?
But to grow rice is within 4 to 5 months.
Yeah, so what are we eating 4 to 5 months?
So what they are doing, like when I spoke with a rice miller recently, what he's saying is that they were importing raw paddy from Niger, from Niger, before this issue happened and they closed the border. But for me, and also some of these farmers, what they are doing is they only farm during the rainy season, when they are very close to the rainy season, which if the government is actually serious about this poverty that is in the land, they would have liaised with all these farmers and see how they can actually do dry season farming. Because after this rainy season farming, many of them don't go back to farm again because they don't have the equipment. They don't have irrigation equipment for them to use and farm during the dry season. And within that gap is where you will see that rice will go high. And then within something like December, or within something like October, November, December, is when they start harvesting the rice that they have farmed. But then we are into Christmas season.
Yeah. So David, where I'm going to, I wasn't clear. Is this right? What we need is immediate palliative. People are suffering, so they can't wait for 4 months. We have. Can you mute, because there's an echo? If you can mute, can you mute? So what I think people need is this, right? There has to be immediate term, short term, medium term, right? Immediate term, people need palliatives right now because people are suffering right now. Then short to medium, we can talk about farming, expanding output, storage, logistics. But right now, the palliative is right now. We need to get people up and about. People don't have money to get on a truck, in a car to go to work. People are taking their kids out of school. So the palliative right now has taken too long, and the disbursement is a joke. 5 bags or 5 trucks can't be termed a palliative. There are some O1 beds that cook more than 5 bags of rice. I'm just kidding, but that's you can't send the state 5 trucks of rice and with a straight face. Yeah.
Can I come in? The problem is this rice now, when they say okay 5 trucks of rice, many people will go and hoard rice. So the rice that's even supposed to go to the populace, you are holding it and the price is going high. For me, the palliative, if it is left for me alone, the palliative is not it. Instead of subsidizing, instead of giving this palliative, I would have helped these rice manufacturers and import raw paddy. Instead of giving this palliative, help them subsidize the imports of raw paddy to solve the problem for the meantime. Because this will come back with a bullwhip effect, for the economy. Because within a very short time now, you
All right.
Okay, thank you.
I agree with you. All right, David. That's fine. I get it. Like again, my point is that even taking cash to buy rice in Nigeria is a bad economic policy because you have an increased output, but you are introducing new cash to buy from the same output. So local prices are going to go up, not down. The policy should try to make local costs fall so that more Nigerians can access this rice. If you simply take 150 billion to the Nigerian market, you're going to make the prices go up and causing more problems rather than making the problem better. Thank you. Let's get Sinosho, Rayodeji. I'm bad with spelling. Sinosho, you've got the floor,
Okay.
sir. Go ahead, sir.
Carl, good evening, brother.
How you doing?
Yeah,
Where you calling from?
Last point. I have about 3 questions, and I would like to chip in a contribution if you don't mind.
Gotcha. Where are you calling from, though?
Yeah, I'm calling you from Lagos.
Okay, there you go. All right, go for it.
Yes. All right. The first point of call is, do you subscribe to the idea that if the government should increase the wages of workers in Nigeria as it is today, and also find a way to institute a broad-based increment alongside the state government, and then of course the private sectors are still doing fairly well, but of course change the minimum wage level? Do you buy into the idea that that will cause inflation?
No, if you increase wages, it doesn't cause inflation if you increase productivity. That's the answer. You have to give the full answer. If you simply increase wages because you have to borrow or print to pay those wages, it might be inflationary. But if you are able to increase productivity or to earn more and increase wages, then it would not cause inflation. I want wages to go up, but you have to answer the question, how are you going to pay for it?
Okay, verily, I also buy the idea that wages increment would not lead to inflation. I'm not using might. And the reason why I'm not saying would not lead to inflation is simple. In the past 8 quarters, if you have checked because I like to use the essentials to gauge my analysis, if I am right or wrong per time. So what I have seen is that capacity utilization in Nigeria as it is today, when I say capacity utilization for people who are listening now, I meant to say what a company can produce in terms of the ability to produce. How much of that ability are they using per time within the context of the cost that you are currently incurring? Oh, you can incur 100 naira to produce 100 units of a good, but at the moment, you are probably producing 60, and then you are wasting about 40% in capacity. And I think a lot of the consumer goods guys in Nigeria have about spare capacity of 20, 25 to 30%. So when we say, oh, why is that the case? It is like that because the purchasing power of consumer in the last 10 years, right, has continued to decline. So literally what the companies are doing is they keep adjusting prices, and then of course for those who cannot continue to adjust prices because they cannot increase volume, they have started recording losses. So literally when we say wage increment will cause inflation, we are literally jettisoning the fact that at the current levels, purchasing power of household is in the abyss, so to put, is at a very low level. So that's my first question actually, and that's my own position on the matter.
I think you are correct. Just to be clear, I think you are correct. I think if you give every family in Nigeria 1 million naira, because the consumption has been zero, and we're using the NBS report last year said household consumption was negative. If all those households go to buy goods today, I don't see it causing inflation simply because they haven't been bought before. They are simply meeting up, or they are catching up to lack of spending. So you are correct, put in a simpler way, that yes, them spending more will not lead to inflation. Rather, it will actually boost the economy. I agree with you on that point. So go ahead.
Thank you. So for context, in addition to what you have said, in case people are listening to us, in 2020, the household consumption, the national income equation, the household consumption contributes about 60%. Let me be sure.
60%.
60%. Yes, about 60% total GDP figure, household consumption. And at that level, it's still seen as very low. Meanwhile, whenever you have things like the subsidy, because I think a lot of people don't understand that subsidy, and that's where my next question would go to. The subsidy is, in a sense, helping household consumption. But let me go to the next question so that I won't jump the gun. My next question: do you agree with the complete removal of subsidy, or perhaps with the idea that government should have fought the corruption in the subsidy regime? First off, to start with, I wanted to ask that.
No, let's assume you remove corruption 100%. Let's assume that's gone. Should there be a subsidy? Yes, not for everybody. You cannot remove subsidy in PMS because it's priced at $80 a barrel. Let's assume you have a subsidy. The question is now, who should enjoy that subsidy? That's a question that we should be asking. So not every Nigerian should pay the market price for crude oil PMS. Not every Nigerian. There must be a subsidy for the folks that can't afford it, the poor, the vulnerable, and those that pay or earn below a certain level. I'm not for the commercial pricing of crude oil or PMS for everybody. There has to be a subsidy. It's how. That's the question. And I have a way how, but to answer your question, I'm not for every Nigerian paying the commercial price for PMS.
All right, thank you. Me, I want to set the context, and I think it will help all of us. And you can just try to verify everything I've said. I am saying, and I'm going to be saying, in the course of this elevated level of crude oil globally, Saudi Arabia settled for buying crude from Russia. India settled for buying crude from Russia. And why did they have to do that? Because there were sanctions on the Russian oil, and then it was selling at a massive discount. What they did by so doing was that they are now able to process locally and then, of course, get those items at a reasonable rate for their citizens. Now, in the Nigerian case, like you have said, Kalu, what they've consistently done over time, right, is to continue to grow inefficiency in governance. And this inefficiency is not because of the things, because I have seen most of us misplace those things. It's not because of the things that they are doing for this populace. It is largely because of the things that they are doing for themselves, the people in government. And I'm not trying to turn this place to a political symposium or anything. But what I'm saying in essence is, okay, electricity, a lot of money spent in there, nothing done. Oil and gas, we have the joint venture arrangement. We have about 4 refineries, none is working. And then, of course, we keep spending maintenance fee on them. So at the end of the day, when they come back and say we are wasting money by financing subsidy, what they are inherently saying, and which is a statement of fact and can be corroborated by anyone who is well-meaning, is that they are saying, yo, this one that you are taking, because we have failed over time, we deem it fit, or we are deeming it fit at this time to take it away from you. So my last question, do you also agree with the floating of the Naira? It's just my question.
Yeah, the Naira should be floated. You shouldn't have a... with the currency, it's different because when you subsidize the currency, you distort the economy. When you subsidize the currency, especially in Nigeria, you are then saying that I can go and get dollars cheaper than you, which is what's going on. So the economy is not well priced. There are many goods that you cannot afford that you are now paying for, buying because there's a subsidy. So take away the subsidy on the dollar and make the cost of production in Nigeria fall. Then you don't notice the subsidy or the dollar. Pay the dollar price and move on. There are many countries in Africa that pay full price for dollar. They are doing okay. Why must you subsidize the dollar? On what basis?
Okay, my guy, no vex. So you see, whenever you talk, it seems like I have to talk afterwards. I hope we are just rubbing minds. Okay, yes, my case. It will look like a question, but I think the cost of floating the Naira, right, is higher than the cost of managing a float.
The cost doesn't matter. The cost to float, it doesn't matter.
I think we are talking about trade-offs. The best trade-off for the people
and
the country as a whole.
Not really. So See, when you ask, do you put PMS on crude oil? We have crude oil. So we have a bit of, we can argue that we can subsidize because it's local. We have the oil locally. So if we are subsidizing that oil, it's local production, it's local consumption. The dollar is not local. The dollar is an import. The dollar itself is imported. What we are doing is that we're taking our local currency, Naira, and we're saying we want our local currency to be pegged to a currency that is not ours, the dollar, because the currency of the dollar is generated from an economy with power supply, with high productivity, with high education. So on what basis do you then peg a currency that is dominated by low income, no power supply, low productivity, with a currency on the other end? There is no basis to do that.
Okay, the reason why I'm saying that is because I have estimated reasonably the cost of maybe trying to run a managed float, and then the cost.
You can't do that calculation, sir, because you don't know the price of dollar.
It makes sense when we look at it from the fact that floating the naira on one hand could lead to a complete loss of revenue for the government.
How do you know the price of dollar?
I would explain myself, my brother, if you don't mind. Now, literally, by floating the dollar and considering the fact that we have about 15 to 18% of our of items in our inflation basket, especially on the food side and some part of core, being imported per time, it suggests that every time we float the naira, we literally are importing inflation. And don't forget what I said earlier about how erosion of purchasing power, like decline in purchasing power, has continued to hamper industry. When I say hamper industry also, they can't produce at the volume they need to produce. So what they do is continue to adjust price. But price adjustment gets to a point wherein the adjusters can no longer adjust. And then what we now start doing is they start losing profitability. So the loss of profitability means the 30% company income tax that is due to the federation account per time. When these companies release their financials, we are losing them. That's on one hand.
No, come on, bro. What you're arguing is that Nigerian breweries, for instance, because they are not getting dollars, they cannot pay taxes. That's what you're arguing. And I'm telling you that a few years ago, Nigeria was importing wheat for beer. Now they use millet and sorghum. Has that not solved that problem? So you can't to take a wide brush and say because if we don't subsidize the dollar, then we lose taxes. The companies can change their manufacturing and not need the imported output. They can do import substitution. So you can't sit down and say that this is what we're going to lose if we don't subsidize the dollar. But I can tell you what we're losing to the kobo. I can show you how much the imports are. I would give you that figure. I can tell you how much CBN is spending to defend the naira. I can give that to you. Compare that figure with the taxes you are quoting that we would lose. Which is more? We've spent, imports today are 20 trillion currently. What's the corporate income tax in Nigeria? What's the corporate income tax in Nigeria? What is it? It's not up to 10 trillion. We're celebrating 6 trillion a few days ago. So are you saying that the 6 trillion FIRS that we're going to lose is more than the imports, which is paid in dollars? It doesn't follow.
That's where the issue is. In your statement now, you literally have assumed that all of these things I am saying, right, they are just perhaps just thought up in my head or something like that. But meanwhile, all of these things have Excel sheets backing them up, spreadsheets backing them up. And see, I hope we are not arguing, and I hope we are just trying to learn from each other. I have always learned from you anyways. But this is the point, Mauga. When I say consumer goods guys, right, and when I say loss in profitability, I'm also not saying that alone. I'm also saying it in the sense of how their ability to continue to employ Nigeria will dwindle. I'm also saying that, right?
Bro, we got to move on. So what we're saying is very simple. Whatever Excel sheet you have, you created it. right? What I'm saying is that I didn't create these figures I'm giving to you. The import bill is 20 trillion. Fact. The FIRS, the income, is also factual. So pull 20 together and say which is more, the import bill of Nigeria or the FIRS, fiscal revenues of Nigeria. You can get it today, right now. It's not my number. The point made is that the dollar spent on imports far outreaches the dollars earned by the FIRS by a wide margin, and that's factual. So what are we arguing about?
Without wasting other listeners' time, kindly tell me your idea of cost. How do you see cost?
The opportunity cost. That's what it is.
Okay, you see it as the opportunity cost.
Which is what I was taught, yes.
I will take the gains for tonight. I'll come back some other time. Thank you very much, Kalu.
You're welcome. All right, let's get to Chuku. Chuku, I got you in here.
Okay. Oh, thank you, Carlo. Thank you, everyone. I've listened very keenly to the conversation, and I have few positions on what has been said. But in total, I agree with your submission. For Nigeria to move forward, we need to stop subsidizing consumption. Whether backing the dollar, it's not going to help us. Rather, I would propose that we subsidize production. Any way.
What does that mean?
So what it means is this. So looking at this NNPC 3 billion loan and all the ideas they want to put across, how to use it. So you have to look at what are those factors or those particular product or items that directly affect the people on the short term.
Are you asking me, sir? I'm not sure if you're asking me a question. Tochiko, where'd you go? Tochiko, if you can hear me, you are off. We can't hear you anymore. Or is it me? Citizen, you've got the floor. I know where Tochiko went to. Citizen, go ahead. You got the floor. Wait, is it me? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
The first question I want to ask you about, okay, so for example, the CBN releasing this report about the price verification portal, the price verification system. What incentives does the foreign supplier, where the Nigerian businessman goes to buy a product from, what incentive do they have to register on that portal? Because I see that they have to pay $350 to register on it. Because I, as a Nigerian businessman, I could go to a company. Sorry, can you hear me or what's going on?
Go ahead, I can hear you.
Oh, yeah. So me as a Nigerian business, let's say name of my business is Citizen Limited. I go to maybe Italy. I want to purchase maybe, for example, some watches, import them to Nigeria to sell. It's not on me to do that registration of the supplier from abroad for them to do the price verification. It's from my supplier. So why would my supplier, who is working under the jurisdiction of the statutory laws of Italy, now decide, oh, hold on a minute, let me register on the CBN's portal because the Nigerian government says so? I think it's
because you want to sell. So the idea is that they are hoping that if you want to sell to a Nigerian, then you want to register. That's all they want you to do, because they want you to register and pay. They want you to register and pay. Is it $350 a year? And you're only doing that.
$350,
yeah. So because you're only doing that because you want to make the sales. That's where they're coming from.
But answer from them. So what if the Italian business doesn't decide, look, why should I have to do that? Because I don't have to have that extra cost when I'm dealing with, say, customers from America or Europe.
This is the thing. So you have to take a decision and say, just like how you want to apply for visa, American visa tell you to pay. You can decide not to go to America and not pay the visa fee. That's just it. So the guy can decide not to sell to Nigerians and not pay. End of story. It's his call, right?
But then doesn't that introduce another extra burden or another hierarchy in terms of complexity of being able to conduct cross-border transactions between Nigeria and foreign countries? Because from my experience, I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. I know that many foreign companies would just look at that and just think, well, you as the person who wants to buy that product from me, why don't you bear the cost of that? Why should I have to bear that cost?
No, yeah. So again, I'm arguing on that side just to have a conversation. The point is this: they say Nigeria is a big import market. So if you're a BMW, you want to export to Nigeria. To export to Nigeria, register and pay. That's their take. The point you're making are arguing on the other side, but their take is if you want to export, register.
Okay, I get that part, but the problem also is many people are not going to be buying BMWs directly. Let's say we're talking about a German company now. They're not going to be buying BMWs directly from BMW Limited, or whatever they call their company in Germany. They're going to be buying it from, I don't know, they're going to be buying it from dealers, from depots, even from second-hand sales companies or other third parties. So again, my problem is I find it very difficult to think that many of these third parties and all these distributors and dealers would think they would want to waste their time to actually register on the Nigerian portal because a Nigerian businessman flew over from Nigeria and wants to purchase some products. Because wouldn't they just pass that cost on to the person who's buying the product and then leave them to do, because obviously we know that Nigeria's system, our economy is fluid right now. So they don't know the burden of regulation that's going to come in after this policy is fully implemented. I mean, Nigeria could decide to add extra documentation, which would add extra costs for them, and they also have to make sure they're doing what is compliant within the jurisdiction where their business is conducted. So for me, I kind of see this as a bit of a problem, and it's a bit ambiguous in the way it would work. But don't you see any? I mean, do you not see any issues with some of what I'm actually saying? Because I don't know. It's an ambiguous one.
Yeah, so now let me come back to my side. I was on the government side to explain your question. So the government, I've already said it at the top of the hour. The price verification, and I wrote an article on Twitter. You can go and look for this right there on Twitter. I did a summary on Twitter and reason earlier. To me, it's bureaucratic and it's not going to be well spelled out. Like the question you've asked, I used BMWs as an example. Okay, what model of BMW? What engine capacity? What car seats? You know what? How do they know that this BMW is the same one I'm going to import from Yugoslavia or whatever? Right? That's the problem. It's too bureaucratic. You are trying to micromanage the import licenses. Why do you have to do that? If it's an open market with an open buyer, so with a willing buyer, willing seller, why are you interested in the prices? If the willing buyer is going to sell to the willing seller, then what's your problem with that? If you want to give CBN dollars out, sure, go and do this. Say they must bring their blood group and their mother's maiden name before you give them dollars. But if you are not, then what's the point of this? If I'm buying dollars from Haruna, why are you interested in the price I'm buying from Haruna? What is your problem with that? So I'm agreeing with you now. That to me doesn't make any sense. It's an unnecessary bureaucracy, and I don't think it solves the problem of supply. If anything, it makes the problem worse because now you're introducing an extra layer of doing business. That's not to agree with you.
Okay, thank you for that, because when I read through the policy, it just, if you're somebody that thinks, what Nigeria needs right now is less regulation, especially within the business sector, in order to increase efficiencies and make product delivery and service delivery more effective, that seems to me to be an onerous cost, which I think there will be companies abroad that say, do you know what? I mean, this is Nigeria. You go and deal with that. We're not interested. You want to buy the product, buy it, export it. That's your problem.
Maybe the policy is to make it so difficult for the importer or the exporter that they don't import and then reduce the demand for dollars. Have you thought about that?
That's another. No. I didn't think about that aspect, but yes, that could actually be another point. Okay, yeah, you're actually right. That could be another point because within that same policy, it talks about a plus or minus 2.5% difference in differential in terms of cost plus and minus. I mean, that to me just maybe that actually feeds into the last point that you just made because that doesn't make any sense to me. That 2.5% figure.
Yeah, I think it's bureaucracy, it's communism, it's socialism, it's trying to do FBI on imports. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of the CBN's time and resources to track this in an open market. This policy was created when we had CBN dollar. That would make sense there because it's CBN's dollar. But if you have a willing buyer, willing seller, this makes no sense because what are you tracking the dollars for? If it's not your dollars, what's your business? Is the willing seller willing? I'm paying taxes. What's your business? If it's not illegal, what's your problem with that? Okay.
Yeah, that definitely makes
All right,
a good
gotcha.
point. Just one more point.
You have to be very quick.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry, what was that?
You got to be quick, sir. We've got some guys.
Yeah, I will.
To go. Yeah.
When it comes to this new idea of allowing the BDCs to sell, to take part in the forex market, I mean, is that really? I mean, given the issues we had with the BDCs in the past, is that not going to be an avenue for which people who have vested interest within the country will use that as another avenue to be able to do round tripping?
Of course, BDC should go away. If you want to have the BDC license, go get the license and go get dollars from anywhere, but not from the Central Bank of Nigeria. The Central Bank of Nigeria should not give BDCs dollars. They should not do that. Let them go to the shops, the same way the POS guys go to the shops and get dollars. Talk to your friends abroad to send money to you in BDC and you pay the guy's account. Do that. They should not get a cent from the Central Bank of Nigeria. 1 cent they shouldn't get. BDC, they should all go and sit down. That's my answer to that. Okay, so quick one now.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
I'm just looking at the messages real quick before I add you. So, someone's asking, do you agree that states with less consumption should pay less for fuel? Yes. Just like how you have normal economics. If you have an open market, then if Jigawa State is using less PMS, then Jigawa State should pay less for the subsidy. Subsidy is paid by the federation, which means Jigawa and Lagos are paying the same price, which means Jigawa is paying more but not using the subsidy. Hence, if you then have a new regime, let states pay per consumption. So Lagos will pay a higher subsidy than Jigawa. That's what I'm trying to say to the guys on Twitter. Low income states should pay less because they're using less consumption. That's what I'm trying to imply. Lady B, we've got you on the floor. Go ahead. Lady B, you've got the floor going once. Lady B, going twice. Let's get Buhari. I've got Buhari Zayad. Buhari Zayad, you've got the floor, sir. Go ahead.
All right. Thank you so much, Kalu, for the opportunity. It has been always a learning experience for me and many others. So I have one question initially, but when I had a contribution, I wanted to also ask as a follow-up. So the question I had is, you are always an advocate of Nigerian issue not being a revenue issue, but rather a spending issue. So looking inward, what do you think should be the measures like both the physical and monetary authorities should take in trying to make those spendings not to affect the economy?
I think it starts from having a plan. Have a plan and not changing the plan after 4 years. What the Chinese do is have a 10-year plan and say, we want to grow capacity by this, we want to build this road, we want to build that road. If we had a plan and we could stick to that plan and we could not change from that plan, it makes it easier to say revenues have to go to this plan. Or have the way we say education has got to be 25 or 26% of the budget, like how UNESCO has asked us to do. We have this thing called the medium-term expenditure framework that states where the government wants to spend money for the next, I believe it's 6 years or so, where we have to state where we want to do the budgets. Nothing wrong in putting guardrails there and earmarking funds for specific sectors. So that way, even if we're spending, we know we must spend X for this and Y for that. But because it's wide open, we can spend money on any way we like. The House of Assembly can say they want to buy bulletproof cars and no one can stop them. So it starts from having guardrails and plans and earmarks preset in the budget. That way we sort of cut out the discretionary spend, if to say.
Okay, thank you. Then for the second question that I had based on the discussion you had, I can't remember the speaker, about the suppliers trying to maybe which incentive would they have to register on this new CBN portal and everything. So from my international economics class, I remember something called tariff. Is this a way of imposing tariff to control importation?
No, it's not a tariff. What their argument was that Nigerians are exporting CBN dollars out of the country by going to over-invoice. You know what they call transfer pricing. So if I want to take money from Nigeria to the UK, I would over-invoice a good that is being sold by the head office abroad. Then I write an invoice, CBN pays, I get my dollars out of Nigeria. So what CBN is saying is that I'm going to go out and maintain a database of prices. So if I want to buy a can of milk, that can of milk will have a benchmark price on the CBN website to say this is how much I can pay for a can of milk. So if it's above 2.5 of that can of milk, you can't get money from CBN. Same thing with exports. Nigerians would underquote on their exports so they can get market. So for instance, cocoa, we're competing with Ivory Coast and Ghana to sell cocoa. So a Nigerian would say, well, Ivory Coast is selling cocoa for $1,000 per ton. I will sell for $800 per ton so that I can get buyers for my cocoa. So CBN is saying we're going to also put a benchmark price for cocoa exports. So the Nigerian exporters cannot sell below that benchmark so that way they can get more revenues coming in. This was the plan, but it was done before you had the deregulation of the foreign exchange market. So if the market is deregulated, you don't need this anymore because now it's going to be based on a willing buyer, willing seller. The CBN can come in and sell dollars, CBN can come in and buy dollars, but they can't dictate where my dollars or my agreement with a third party can be. This is where I fault what they're trying to do now, yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
All right, cool. Let's get Tunde. Tunde, hop right in.
Yeah, thank you, Kalu. Hey, thanks for having me on the space. Yes, I just have one or two things to talk about. And one challenge I have with government in Nigeria is the issue of policy formulation and deep thinking before we come out with policies. The challenge is like we repeated it from the last administration. I remember how much time we spoke about it. And this current administration is seemingly going down the same line. And I don't know, this your price, I thank God you spoke about the price. I treat to the document. To me, it's a policy that does not have any sense to do. We want to regulate where we know we can. We don't have the capacity. We don't have the sincerity. We don't have the accountability to regulate. It's just a way of either giving some other people form of extra income or just trying to make things cut. So in the whole way, it's an internal sabotage. And I don't know that even at this point in time, it seems our central bank is still not getting things right. And the so-called jump in the value of the naira, if care will not be taken in the next 1 or 2 weeks, we will still go back to normal. I don't know what can one do to tell these people at the top that they are getting things not right. The challenge we have today in Nigeria is dollar supply. How do we get more dollars? And I think you said more of the time, all these dollars that are in the domiciliary account, why can't government find a way to give them attractive interests in line with what is happening in the US and in other
times so as to ensure that these ones freeze this dollar and it's allowed. But it seems government is more of this regulation. That's on the one side. Look at the issue of the palliatives too. I questioned even later on, they've now told us that this palliatives is 52% grant, 48% loans.
Yeah.
And I now imagine, you are saying you are giving a palliative to somebody and you are giving loans. Whereas last month in July, we were told that Nigeria had generated over 1.9 trillion as FAC. And they are now set aside some amount for an infrastructure fund. Over 900 billion for an infrastructure fund, which as of today, we don't know what it's going to be used for. Yeah, now, so sometimes one gets discordant tunes from the administration that one just goes, is it that they are just going one step forward, two steps backwards, one to the left, one to the right, showing that we are doing something, but in the long run, they are either doing nothing or compounding, what do we call it, the challenges which are ahead of us as a nation. Then I want to ask, don't you think it's right for Nigeria to go and talk with the IMF? I think that's where I'm going to end the discussion. Yes, we are the giant of Africa, but don't you think we need some IMF-imposed discipline on us as a nation? Because, for instance, the central bank again, I'm afraid. I'll quickly round up, sorry. I think the central bank is appearing to be fearful in the way they because of what is now happening to the suspended governor, who actually acted to assist the past administration, because if not for what he did, only God knows what would have happened to the past administration on the streets. People would have shouted since he promised of. So are we not looking at the way that even our central bank is not really going to be effective in issuing correct monetary policies that will stand the test of time against the present administration's fumbling and wobbling?
Tony, I think the point I want to rate to you made 2 points: the IMF and also the income that we shared. You know, when I saw that news that we had made 1 trillion, but we are keeping aside some money aside, you know, I thought some governors would talk, but no one said a thing. You know, according to the Constitution, and I'm quoting the Constitution, it is illegal to keep money that has been earned. The money must be shared. That was the problem Goodluck had with the Sovereign Wealth Fund. And that was why he had to share the money, because the governors legally were correct. We know we want to save money, but the Nigerian Constitution does not allow anyone to save money. The Constitution. So both excess crude account, both Sovereign Wealth Fund are unconstitutional. They are legal, but not constitutional. When I saw this new sharing formula, I kept quiet. At least let's save money. But now you are giving guys palliative and you are charging them interest, but you are withholding their funds that should have come from the revenues, the record revenues you made from removing oil. So understand what I'm saying. You increased crude oil price, or you increased PMS price, you got more revenues to the purse. Then you give states loan to help their citizens from the increased revenues that has come from you taking away subsidies. Doesn't make sense. So some governors should have spoken, but nobody is speaking. So that's wrong on its face of it. To go to the IMF is simple. IMF will tell you to remove subsidies and increase taxes, which is what we've done. We are implementing already an IMF World Bank program. If you don't think I'm correct, go online. I'll try to post it. There's an IMF World Bank paper on recommendations for Nigeria, what to do, where they detail out the waste Nigeria has in spending money on subsidies, and they detail out what we should do to sort of pull back on that wastage. You see there things there like sugar taxes is there, increasing VAT is there, removing subsidy is there. So most of what we're doing, we are playing to that theme book. And don't get me wrong, they are not wrong. Most of what the World Bank and IMF are saying, they are not wrong. We put ourselves in this situation. So we made ourselves in a situation whereby we need these harsh economic realities to survive. I said it, any government that had come to power in 2023 would have had to remove subsidies, both on PMS and dollar. Anybody that won would have done it. Anybody that won. The difference with these guys, with what President Tinubu is doing, he has taken too long, too slow, and he felt he could remove and increase prices without a palliative. That was completely wrong. There is no way you can increase cost by 300% without adding palliatives. He realized his mistake. He's trying to go back, but even this rollout is wrong in my view. They've done it a bit too. It's not. It's being done by politicians. So let's hope that Mr. Wale Edu will come in and sort of start to get the ship flowing in the right way. He needs an economist that will tell him, do it this way. Right now, he's surrounded me by politicians that are telling him, oh, we're going to do this election, let's do palliative. Look at how they've done the palliative. It's more like how PDP or APC shares face cap and t-shirt. Give every state a carton of t-shirt and face cap. It's not done by an economist to say, what is the means-tested way to get monies across to the poor and vulnerable that are suffering? It's done like, just share the money. That's not how you do it. You have to know, you don't just share the money, you do it properly so that it hits. Guys, we'll be here for about 3 hours. We're going to take the last speaker. Tunde, we're going to move on. Tunde,
the central bank.
The central bank. Central bank. Tunde, we're going to move. I heard it. My own take on central bank, I agree with you. We don't have a substantive central bank governor. You can't blame the guys there. They are board members. They don't want to take wide-reaching decisions that would affect the economy, and then you come and hang it on them. They're not elected or not appointed. Even though you have a substantive guy there, he's not the guy in charge. Let them talk to Mr. Emefiele. Maybe get him to resign and drop his charges or whatever, and appoint a CBN governor. We know what they are doing. They are putting him under pressure so that he resigns. If he resigns, they can appoint a real CBN governor. So stop all this nonsense sharing they are doing, bringing him to court and charging him for Dane gone. Get him to resign, appoint a new guy, let's move on. But it's a lesson to all these bureaucrats that are killing themselves over the executive. The executive will embarrass you. Do your job. Emefiele was given a job with constitutional and legislative guidelines. He was protected as long as he did his job. They said he cannot have any vocation, but no one can tell him what to do. Imagine he can spend the foreign reserves without cause, without budgetary approval. He had that power. What did he do? He threw it away. They made him run for president so that they will have something against him. When he ran for presidency, he did not raise interest rates from the period he ran for presidency. Once, he didn't. Maybe he lost the presidential race. He increased interest rates 5 times. It's now 18%. That tells you all you need to do. He gave out loans in the economy, printed 22 trillion for a party, because he assumed that if he did that, they would support him and they would make him vice president. Now he has learned that he was being used by politicians. So the lesson to all these quote-unquote technocrats, do not allow yourself to be used by politicians. Don't blame politicians. Their job is to spend. Blame yourself as a technocrat for not upholding the ideals of what you signed for. That's lesson for everyone. Guys, we're going to call it a day. We started off talking all about the issues that in front burner in Nigeria, the $3 billion NNPC loan, the cabinet, the palliatives, and all that, even the CBN Price verification. I think we've had some time. We'll allow folks to speak back and forth, very interactive. And we've learned a few things, right? And that's the whole idea of our spaces. We want to bring these topics that look too complicated, break it down so that we can understand what it means, and hopefully we can then take corrective action. Remember, as a Nigerian, you live in an economy that has a lot of potential, right? A lot of potential. But you don't have folks that really understand that in governance. And your job is not to do less complaining and more of hand-holding. You've got to put the guys you voted for under pressure to do the right thing. If you keep on saying nothing they can do, then nothing will happen. Once they realize you can do things, they listen to you. And right now, you have the power, or you are supposed to have the power to do things. So don't take no for an answer, demand much. Let me just close by saying, this is what I do. I also do have a book out on personal financial planning. If you do want to get that book, it will bless you. It's on Amazon. Let's talk about your money. It's 22 chapters on everything from investing to savings to crypto to real estate. Do get it. It's on Amazon. I would love you guys to read it, and then we can have no more space on personal financial planning once it's all over. Till we meet next week, folks, allow me to sign off. My name is Kalu Aja. This has been another great episode. We'll be here next week again, hopefully on a Sunday, and we'll talk about the Nigerian economy and also the world economy as well. Thank you so much, guys. Love you guys. You guys have a good one, and bye.